worship or word. Our bones have lost their shine. In time they become dry. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Christ is our cornerstone, purified by his blood. The altar within is our home. Our temple has been defiled. Destruction came in time. Oh Israel, how can we go forth? No sacrifices, worship or word. Our bones have lost their shine. In time they become dry. For 30 shekels we receive a living sacrifice. Now we are a temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Now we are the temple built without hands, the temple that will always stand. Christ is our cornerstone, purified by his blood. The altar within is our home. Christ is our cornerstone, purified by his blood. The altar within is our home. Hallelujah.
Shalom. May peace and thanksgiving offerings be multiplied amongst all the saints. I'm Kahan Yaradun, bringing forth today's live class for the Shabbat regarding the temple. We have a Memorial Day coming up. We just concluded Purim, and there's another day as we start winding down this year and going forth into this 12th month. The day on which the Hebrews in times past under the Persians completed and then dedicated the temple. Now, why don't we know about these days? Why don't we even consider this day? It's because a lot of us has learned from the desert penguins. Those who right now are blowing up and bombing Iran. The Persians who helped them build the temple, supposedly them, back in times past. They're right now bombing and blowing them up. We are following them. We're following suit with them. We know about Hanukkah, Feast of Dedication. We're wearing a 6-point star. We got a menorah on our tables, a lot of us Israelites. But why don't we look at some of these other days that were instituted in our history? Because we're learning from the same people who usurped and stole our own identity. We're going to get into that. And as we're talking about Purim and talking about some of the prophecies about this temple that was prophesied to be built and will be built again by the Messiah, we are going to look at some of the failed prophecies that were given to us and taught to us by these heathens who are usurping our own culture, the true culture. Before we get into that, I'm joined by our readers. You may see we actually have some new readers up here. We got AP Yeshaya representing the 5th AP class, a dedicated student bringing forth his reading skills here in the AP class or in the Shabbat class from AP 5. And we got a new brother, young brother, AP candidate, not quite AP yet, but AP candidate Ibron. He's gearing up, getting himself ready to get into the 6th official AP class. It would be the Most High's will. It's still candidate, but he's here stepping up, representing for his class, AP 6, Abba willing. So we got a mix of priests and APs, apprentice priests, coming together to bring forth this class. Let's get into, let's go to that website where they are talking about Purim. I believe it's FFOZ.org on the Messiah. And they're talking about Purim. And they're talking about the blood moon that passed this Purim. And there are a lot of people speculating and having prophecies about that. Some outlandish stuff. There were a lot of Christians talking about this blood moon and how it's coming on Purim. This is symbolizing the rapture. Well, we are how many days past Purim? How many days? Almost a week past Purim. And there has been no rapture. Everybody's still here living in the same conditions. But then you have the Khazars as well talking about fake and phony promises related to this blood moon on Purim. Let's read that article on FFOZ.org about Purim. AP Yeshaya.
Tonight, the Jewish world celebrate Purim.
What's the headline on that?
Purim blood moon and the fall of the wicked.
They're saying this Purim blood moon is supposed to symbolize the fall of the wicked. Who are they talking about when they're talking about the fall of the wicked? Let's read on. AP.
Tonight, the Jews celebrate Purim with a reading of the scroll of Esther. Purim commemorate the deliverance of Jewish people from annihilating in the ancient Persian Iran.
We see some keys here, some information sprinkled in. It commemorates the Israelites being preserved from utter annihilation while they were in Persia. Let's read on.
The holiday unfolds on a theme of hidden mystery, royalty, and external commitment to remember to blot out the memory of Amalek.
So now they're talking about the blotting out the memory of Amalek. Even they know that Haman was an Amalekite. They talk about that even in this article. We're not going to get into that, as we covered in last week's class, how Haman indeed was an Amalekite, and how these are the arch enemies, the arch nemesis of the Israelites. How they want to usurp our authority and steal that rod from us, steal our power and our glory, and take back what was supposed to go to Esau, but didn't. Jacob received that. The Most High chose Jacob and gave him the inheritance. But let's read on.
The Purim narrative have taken on a prophecy dimension.
All right, let's jump down to that paragraph where it says, not by coincidence.
Not by coincidence, the United States and Israel intended decisive military operation against the Iranian.
So it's no coincidence, they say, that United States and Israel on Purim or around Purim on this blood moon initiated a decisive military operation against who?
Against Iranian.
Against the Iranians. What does that have to do with Purim? If you don't know the story of Purim, that just sounds good. It sounds like good prophecies. Oh, look, it's happening full circle. The blood moon symbolized the Iranians or the Israelis attacking Iran. Read on.
That same day, the initial waves of the attack culminate in airstrikes that eliminate the supreme leader.
They have airstrikes that killed and eliminated the supreme leader. We talked about this on the podcast that we did. If you're not subscribed to the 9th Hour, our channel where we're pushing out these new podcasts, time on it for us to go and speak our full thoughts on this Iranian conflict, the U.S., Israeli, and Iranian conflict. But we were able to do that on the podcast. We were able to take our time and not go through as many scriptures that we're going through here. This is the Shabbat class. This is for us to learn and be edified in the scriptures. The podcast, the 9th Hour, is for us to talk and discuss about some of the current events. Let's bring that up for brothers and sisters watching live. Let's bring up the link as well for them to go and find that channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on notifications, because we plan on doing more videos on the 9th hour. And we might also, just like a news station, we might go live whenever there's breaking news. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if some reason China said we're going to get involved, matter of fact, we're going to drop a nuke. Matter of fact, Kim Jong-un from North Korea said, hey, Iran, just say the word. We can send some missiles to Israel that are going to wipe it off the face of the map. If that happens, we going live. Breaking news on the 9th hour. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications. Let's read on in that paragraph. Let's go back to this article. They're referencing Israel's attack on Iran, aka the Persians, like it's similar to Purim. Because this blood moon came, it gave them the strength and the power. This is prophecy coming to be fulfilled. Let's read on, my brother, AP.
The intense wave of attack culminated in airstrikes that eliminate the supreme leader. Al-Qaeda dismantled the key elements of Iran's nuclear program. Iranian leaders often like it to modern Haman.
Modern Hamans? Modern Haman is the Iranians? Did you read the story of Purim? These are two different people. Matter of fact, Esther was an Israelite, was married to the king of Persia. They worked together. But they're saying them bombing Iran is like, the Iranians are like the modern day Haman. That doesn't make any sense. Read on.
For their threat against Israel, they met their downfall on that very day the Torah urged.
For the threats against Israel, they met their downfall, like it's written in the Torah. Read on.
And urged the remembrance of Amalek treachery.
Jump down to where it says, scroll down a little bit, it says Purim. Purim celebrates. So, which one is it? Bibi? Are the Gazans Amalek or the Iranians Amalek? Or do you have yourself confused? Maybe he who protests too much, maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe we need to be looking at you to find out who Amalek is. But they're just pointing the finger at anybody. Next up, Turkey's going to be the Amalek. Next up, South Africa, you're going to be Amalek. Next up, who else? Chile. We want to go to Chile. You Amalek. They're just pointing the finger at any and everybody. And they're equating, it's like they didn't even read the story of Purim. Or you read it and yet you're lying and trying to stretch it to make it fit your narrative. During Purim, we covered it last week. Malachi went through it. That it wasn't Israel against the Persians. It was Israel and the Persians against Amalek. So where you getting bombing Amalek or bombing Iran is equivalent to fighting Haman. This makes absolutely zero sense. Let's read on that article.
Purim celebrate Israel's deliverance from ancient Iran.
Purim does not celebrate Israel's deliverance from ancient Iran. This is just a straight up lie. This is not just misinformation. This is a straight up lie. And they're equating it with the blood moon and Purim. And this is prophecy coming to fulfill itself again in modern times. No, it's not. Purim was not them being delivered from Iran or from the Persians. Matter of fact, they continued to live and work with the Persians after deliverance from Amalek or from Haman, who was an Agagite. Read on.
And now, as the modern Iranian threat crumbles.
Read on.
The heavens declare a similar message.
The heavens declare a similar message. Look at the heavens. They're declaring on Purim the fall of Haman, and that's Iran. That's the Ayatollah Khomeini. This is madness. And so you have evangelical Christians and Jews coming together, so-called Jews, coming together to spit a false message and a false prophecy about what's going on today. This blood moon had nothing to do with Iran, but all to do with the Israelis. All to do with them and their enchantments and their witchcraft against the real saints. Now, we can't talk about this. We don't have time to go through this today. We're going to drop this article. But But in the podcast, we covered it. And if you haven't watched our first episode on the 9th hour, you got to go and watch that. Go and watch that episode where we talked about this war in Iran. You got some of these leaders of Israel today already sizing up the next enemy. They've already counted Iran like that's a wash. We won that. It's over. Let's move on now to Turkey. Let's move on now and get ready to fight against and make war with Turkey. Like I said, who's next? Y'all gonna go to Iraq. You're gonna try to fulfill this greater Israel project. And now you're gonna say, the Egyptians, that's Amalek. We gotta go fight them and purge out Amalek. They in Egypt. Oh, they in Turkey. Now they in Saudi Arabia. Now they over here. Until you can achieve what they want to achieve. They are lying to you. They are falsifying information and feeding that to you. And unfortunately, we, even us as Israelites, readily accept that, readily receive that trash. Once again, if you have on your Hebrew garment, or what you think is a Hebrew garment, a 6-pointed star, where'd you get that from? Did the Spirit reveal it to you? Or did you go and see, the Khazars do that, let me do that? Where did you get the idea of a menorah from? Why did you, the candlesticks, the altar, an altar, the brazen altar, the golden altar, the incense. You know what the Maccabees put as a symbol for their revolution? The bow, a tree, the fruit from the tree of life, not a menorah. So where are you getting it from? You getting it from these same people telling you this is a righteous war, a holy war, that Trump is anointed to start Armageddon in Iran. These are same people you're getting it from. And this is why we are oblivious to the completion of the Second Temple, a day that we should indeed commemorate. That's why we're doing Feast of Dedication, quote unquote. We're doing Hanukkah. When the root word for Hanukkah is the Hebrew word kanak. When Ezra, Zerubbabel, Joshua connect the temple on the 23rd day of the 12th month, which is coming up next. We're going to be talking about that in this class. Why are y'all not celebrating that? Why are y'all not celebrating all the other times they connect or dedicated, consecrated a temple? It's because y'all are following the people who you should not be following. You're taking messages from those who don't really know the culture. They're the same ones who have in their Talmud, this is a PG-13 show, after a moil circumcises a male child. What's the next step? What's the next step? I must suck the blood out with my mouth. An abomination. And they got reports of children, babies, newborn babies, getting herpes from that. That should raise some questions. Not only like, dang, you screwed up this baby's life. You gave him a virus he can't get rid of. Why did you have herpes? That's what you should be asking. Why did this person who's supposed to be essentially like a priest, you're supposed to be on Phineas level, you're supposed to be like Moses, you're supposed to be like these holy priests. Why'd you have herpes? What's going on in your life? These are the people that we're following, that we as Israelites have learned our culture from. Let's unlearn all that stuff. Let's unlearn all that trash. And let's relearn our history. Let's learn our true history. There is a day that we should be memorializing that nobody is memorializing. It is a great day of celebration, a day of prophecy. The 12th month, 23rd day, when under the Persians, with the Persians, the Israelites built, completed, and consecrated their temple a second time under Zerubbabel. We're going to get into that. Let's grab, if you would, AP candidate Ibram to get 1 Ezra 6:1. Before we dive deep into the scriptures, though, once again, we're talking about a podcast. We can only speak so much. We can only take so much time. It took 20 minutes on this intro. That's already too much. But if you want to see 2 hours worth of us talking about Israel, the United States, fighting their unholy, unrighteous war in Iran, you got to go follow our podcast. You got to go to the 9th Hour channel, like, share, and subscribe all the videos that we start putting out there. And make sure you turn on notifications. Like we said, we might go live. If there's breaking news, we might go live at any moment. So make sure you turn on notifications so that you are getting that at the 9th hour. Also, we're talking about this holy day or this Memorial Day that's coming up. If you do not have a calendar, I don't know what you're doing. How can you call yourself a Hebrew? You don't have a calendar. You have to know when the Most High's feast are. That's the whole point of Israel, to keep Yahweh's commandments. And these are his commanded days, and they're here in the calendrical study guide. If you don't have one, you need to get one. And Abba willing, we're working on next year's calendar. We know this one's coming to a close, but we're working on next year's calendar so everybody can get ready for Passover and the feast coming up in the first month. But even with that, we have a calendrical study guide that's chock full of information. It may be a few years old, but the information still stands. We have deep information like the understanding of the tree of life, the understanding of the city of Adam, a moon chart, because these people who we're learning our information from have been talking about we follow a lunar calendar. No, we do not. That is not biblical whatsoever. That is not biblically founded. And we cover that here in this calendrical study guide. So if you don't have one, you need one. You definitely need to get one of these calendrical study guides because it's chock full of information about the calendar, why it is, and how it is. Once again, if you don't have it, this is essential for anybody calling themselves an Israelite, anybody calling themselves a Nazarite, anybody saying they worship Abba Yahweh. If you don't have a calendar, how can you? You have to know when his feast days are to worship him in due season. And you have to understand the calendar as to why it is. As we start gearing up for this calendar, we want to also, we plan on doing classes. Because we know this is a dense document. We know, unfortunately, a lot of people ain't reading it. They're not going through the whole thing. But we know people watch videos. So we want to do some video courses. Those courses are not going to be on YouTube, most high forbid. Those courses, or that course and those videos, are only going to be on the city of Adam. So you go ahead and get registered for the city of Adam. It is of the utmost imperative that you get on the city of Adam. Because, the world is changing. And people are starting to see that the people calling themselves Jews are not really living the lifestyle they're supposed to. And it's raising some questions. And so people are talking about it more, but there's still a high chance, there's still a good possibility that we could get shut down. The 9th Hour podcast channel that we were talking about could get knocked down before it even gets a chance to take off. So make sure you join us on the City of Adam. That is our own platform. That is our own social media community for brothers and sisters to be like-minded, posting what we want to post, seeing what we want to see, and also particularly for the oblation line and also some of these courses. We want to have a calendar course on the City of Adam. Let's put up the link for anybody who wants to join us on the City of Adam. If you want to join us on the City of Adam, get the link in the description, or the engineers should be pulling it up on the screen. The City of Adam, if you want to register for that, make sure you get on the City of Adam, because if we're ever off YouTube, if you ever search up House of Wisdom or 9th Hour and it's not there, it could be because we got struck down. So get it while the getting is good. Get it before it's too late. And also, while you're on the City of Adam, make sure you go to the store and get some of the things like the tithes to give your free will offerings, and also make sure you get things like this literature, this book, Messianic Faith. This is 20 years post-press. This book has been in circulation for 20 years. That should show you. If you see anybody talking about, look what the Spirit just gave me last week. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is proof and evidence. Oh, the Spirit gave it to you. Really? Really? We got proof and evidence. It's in writing. This thing was published in 2006 when Iran was only 3 minutes from a nuclear bomb. This thing was published out in 2006, and we're 20 years post-press on this book, Messianic Faith. You need to get a copy to truly understand faith. Hebrews 11 tells you, if you don't have faith, it is impossible to please the Most High. So it's important for you to know what faith really is. Is faith just blind belief? Should you just blindly believe that the Israelis are the Israelites of the ancients? They are Moses and David and Solomon's lineage? Should you just blindly believe that? Or do you need some faith? You need proof and evidence to show who they are, who are these people. And as you mentioned, make sure you're sending your tithes and free will offerings. That is of the utmost importance. It is a commandment to send tithes. Tithes are not just, or I would say just, tithes are not money. Tithes are the goods the agricultural yield needed for the priest to give sacrifices. If the sacrifices cease, that is when the curse comes in. We are like the levees blocking the storm waters from surging and taking over your whole community and flooding you out. The priests are the guards that stand forth, keeping Hasatan at bay, as we're going to cover a little bit in this class, Abba willing. So make sure you're sending in your tithes to make sure the priests always have oblations and sacrifices in the house of Abba Yahweh. And make sure you're also freely giving with your free will offerings. Free will offerings is monetary or whatever it is that you freely want to give. There is no set amount of contributions that you must give. There's no 10%, no 20%, no whatever. It's whatever the Most High has put on your spirit, on your heart to give to the priesthood to ensure that we can constantly have everything we need to establish the work of Abba Yahweh. Because we have to pay, the lights. We have to pay for the internet. We have to pay for this equipment. We had to get all the finances to get this podcast going. And then we needed brothers to be able to dedicate their time to put all the details together, because it was a long project in the making. So make sure you're supporting, make sure you're assisting, send in your free will offerings as much as you can give, as much as you want to give. However Abba Yahweh has blessed you, make sure you bless him back. Give it to him so that the priest can ensure that Abba Yahweh's will is being done. And with that, we'll close down. We're going to bring in some commercials a little bit later, but we're going to get into the meat of this class, Abba willing. We're going to go to 1 Ezra 6:1 in the Apocrypha. Now, we're talking about this completion of the temple under the Persians, a day which we should memorialize that we just don't, that many of us just don't do, because nobody's talking about it, nobody's teaching us about it. But let's read it in 1 Ezra 6:1, AP candidate Iron.
Now in the second year of the reign of Darius, Agius, and Zechariah the son of Adu, the prophets prophesied unto the Jews in Jewry and Jerusalem in the name of the Most High, God of Israel, which was upon them. Then stood up Zerubbabel, the son of Salatiel, and Jesus, the son of Josedek.
All right, so this is the Greek. So we see Jesus, that's not Jesus like Yahweh, the Messiah, the Prince. This is Joshua. We see Joshua, the son of Josedek, and Zerubbabel standing up. But they didn't stand up alone. Read on.
Jesus, the son of Josedek, and began to build the house of the Most High at Jerusalem. The prophets of the Most High being with them and helping them.
The prophets were with them and helped them. Now, this is true, real prophecy. They weren't talking about a blood moon, brother. This is you killing the Iranians. That's not what it was. Who were these prophets? Let's read that first verse again.
Now in the second year of the reign of Darius Agius and Zechariah.
These are the prophets that were there at the time. Agius, once again, is Greek. And Zacharias. These are Haggai and Zechariah. These were the prophets of the time, helping, aiding, giving spiritual messages to Zerubbabel and Yahweh, son of Josedek, the directive to build the temple. So now let's look at these prophecies. We can't just read it and not go to the prophecies. Let's go to Zechariah, AP Yeshaya, Zechariah 1, and we'll pick up in the first verse. Now we're going to look at Zechariah giving that spiritual divine message to Abba Yahweh, or from Abba Yahweh to them about building this temple. Zechariah 1:1.
In the 8th month, in the second year of Darius, came the word of Abba Yahweh unto Zechariah, son of Peachtree, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, the Most High Abba Yahweh have been sore displeased with your fathers.
So this is the result of why everything is what it is, or why they were even needing to go to the Persian to get their temple built in the first place. We're going to read that and cover that when we get back to Ezra. But the Most High is saying, I was displeased with your fathers. Let's read on.
Therefore said unto them.
And before you continue on, as a side note, the people claiming the identity of Jews, they don't talk about this. I was displeased. They always look at it like we are the greatest. Everything we do is there is no fault in anything we do. We bombed the hospital. That's because Hamas was there. We killed a mother who was pregnant with child. That's because she was Hamas. That's because that child was about to be a Hamas agent. We knew it. Zechariah prophesied to us that the baby's going to be Hamas. We had to kill him. Everything they do, there is no fault in anything they do. They absolve themselves of all and every bit of blame. Actually, I just heard, once again, this is podcast material, but we'll cover real quick. The Israelis finally let some independent investigators go over to Gaza and study an instance where 15 aid workers were killed. 15 medical personnel, EMTs, they were just brutally killed. And they got eyewitness testimony, they got recordings, and they found them. It was a convoy of ambulances and emergency vehicles. No arms, no weapons, nothing. And the Israelis launched a 2-hour barrage of bullets on them. 900 rounds. And they got eyewitness, they got recordings of all of that. They got recordings of one of them praying, like, Allah, receive me, you know. They off. But at the same time, the Israelis are doubly off. And they found mass graves. I mean, just a cover-up. They didn't even give them, not to their family, nothing. Just got an excavator and dug up a hole and tossed their bodies in there and covered it up and moved on. And all this is coming out, and they're still like, hey, look, nah, there wasn't that. We thought they were Hamas agents. Is it still absolving themselves of blame? But Abba said through the prophets, he was displeased with your fathers. He was displeased with your actions, so he brought this calamity upon you. He was the one who destroyed your temple. Where is that? Where is that doctrine, that understanding amongst them, amongst the Jews? Where is it? Or the Jewish people? Why are they not talking about this? The Abba was displeased, so he spanked you. He punished you. But let's read on. Let's get back to the prophecy of Zechariah.
Middle 3. Thus said the Most High host, turn ye unto me, said the Most High host, and I will turn unto you, said Abba host.
So turn unto Abba and he shall turn unto you. This is the reciprocity that we must do. The Israelis think that they already have it, that they're already good. But the Most High is saying, no. You might be good for a moment, and then you go off. I'm going to spank you. I'm going to chastise you. Read on.
Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophet hath cried, saying, thus said Abba host, turn ye now from your evil ways, and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken unto me, said Abba.
Now look at the people claiming to be Jews today. Everybody is pinpointing, look, what you're doing is evil. And they are not turning. They have their ears staunched. If they were the people of Abba, don't you think Abba would come again and punish them? Of course he would, because he did it in times past. But let's read on. That's not the point. Let's go ahead and move on from that. But let's keep going with Zechariah, the prophecy to the real Israelites.
Verse 5. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophet, did they live forever? The statutes which I command my servant, the prophet, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, like us, Abba host thought to do unto us, according to our ways, and according to our doing. So he had dealt with us. All
right, jump down to verse 14. So I'll say, who are your fathers? Who are these prophets? Do they live forever? Are they gods? Are they deities? Or like the angels? No, they're just men. And the Most High accomplished what he was going to do to these men. So learn the lessons of times past. Learn your lesson. Let's go to verse 14.
So the angels that communed with me and said unto me, cry now, saying, thus said Abba host, I am a jealous for Jerusalem, for Zion with a great jealousy.
Now, however, even though Abba punished the Israelites, he came back and said, however, I'm zealous and jealous for Israel. I see what the nations have done to you, and I will reward them for their evil. Read on.
Verse 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathens that are at ease.
He said, I am displeased with the heathen because they're at ease. They have their legs kicked up. They're sitting back enjoying this life. I wonder who else is enjoying this life. I wonder who else has their own country. I wonder who else has enclaves, their own people in all these other countries across the world. I wonder who else is kicking their feet up at ease. Sounds like somebody who had an island and was going there every weekend, inviting people, having parties. He was at ease. And what was his ethnicity? Answer that yourself. Let's read on.
For I was a little displeased that they helped for the affliction.
He said, I was only a little displeased with Israel, but they went and forwarded the affliction. They went and did doubly than what I told them to do. I told Nebuchadnezzar, smash the temple, burn it up, and bring them to captivity. But yet they went and would brutalize them, abuse them, putting them into slavery and in bondage, and utterly destroying them. Who does this fit? Who does this even fit at all? Who is going through the same thing? Not them. Let's read on, though.
16. Therefore saith Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercy, and my house shall be built in it, said Yahweh host. And a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem.
So now Yahweh said, I am returning to Jerusalem with mercy, with charity, with grace. I am giving them back their inheritance. I shall give them Jerusalem and shall build my house in it. Once again, why are we so caught up with the little trinkets that these people are telling us to use? A menorah, a six-pointed star. Everything Yahweh is saying in these prophecies had nothing to do with that. It was about the house. It was about the oblations, the sacrifices, as we're going to continue to see. These are the key important parts. This is what all the prophecies were about. Not about burning Iran and sending nukes over there and killing the Ayatollah. That's not what it was about. It was about building Yahweh's house. Let's read on.
17. Cry yet, saying, thus said the Most High of hosts, my city through the prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. And the Most High shall yet comfort Zion, and it shall yet choose Jerusalem.
All right, let's go to the next chapter, AP candidate Ibron. Let's go to Zechariah 2, and starting the first verse. So we're going to try to blaze through some of this because almost the whole book is regarding this. Now, we also see in the last chapter, I believe it's chapter 14, you see him talking about Megiddo and this great battle that's going to happen. This is not what Trump and the Israelis are doing. They don't know anything about what they're talking about whatsoever. Who is Trump? To be anointed by Jesus to bring about the Armageddon. It is mumbo jumbo to get the basic low-level people riled up and make them think that this is a holy war, and I have to get behind it. When all in actuality, it's just propaganda. It's straight up propaganda. Let's read on. Zechariah 2 and 1.
I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Whither goest thou? And he said unto me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof.
So why is he going? Why is this angel going with a measuring line? To see the breadth and the length? Because something is about to be built. A temple is to be built to Yahweh. Let's read on.
And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein.
So he said Jerusalem shall be a town without walls. Now, whenever you hear of ancient cities and you hear them say it has no walls, that means it's defenseless. Is Yahweh saying Jerusalem is going to be defenseless? What is he saying? Read on.
For I, said the Most High, will be unto her a wall of fire and round about.
Yahweh said, I will be the wall of fire. You're not going to need an iron dome. If you need an iron dome, you're not the people of Yahweh. He's not protecting you. You got the United States government protecting you. If you need to get, quote unquote, David's sling, you are not being protected by Yahweh. He said he is going to be the defense. He's going to be a wall of fire. And so if the real people were in Jerusalem or in Israel and somebody wanted to lob a missile, that thing is, you're going to see a hand come up from the sky and just grab that joint, toss it back to them. We're not going to need no iron dome. Yahweh said he shall be a wall of fire round about. Read on.
And will be the glory in the midst of her.
And will be glory unto them. Where is their glory? How are these the people of Yahweh? How is this prophecy pertain to them? When over in, I think it's Tel Aviv, they got the biggest, largest, most grand gay pride parade on the face of the planet. Every other country well, so many other countries I say do pride parades, but in Tel Aviv or somewhere in Israel, they got every single year they got the largest one. How is that? How are you the people of the Most High? How are you the people of the Most High when you launch a preemptive attack against your enemy on the Shabbat? If anybody following the news, they went and bombed Iran on the Shabbat, on so-called Saturday. How is that? Thought you the people of the Most High. You launched a not you defended yourself. You launched a preemptive attack that you didn't need to do on the Shabbat. Exactly. You are of your father, the devil. You are not following suit with what Abba Yahweh has done. This is the same thing they did to the Messiah. I don't want to crucify him on the first day of Feast of Unleavened Bread, but let's do it on the Shabbat before we do Passover so we can look blameless. This is not the thing that righteous, upstanding people of Abba Yahweh do. But let's read on.
Ho, ho, come forth.
This is not Santa Claus. Some ho, ho, ho. This ho comes from a Hebrew word, meaning woe, alas, destruction comes forth. Read on.
And flee from the land of the north.
Abba Yahweh is saying, I will destroy the land of the Lord. In this verse, he's talking about Babylon, the one that took Israel captive. So he's saying destruction, woe, woe unto the land of the north. So flee from it. Flee from these people that have these Babylonian customs and culture. Once again, ask yourself, how does this prophecy, remember in this same chapter, or this same book, I should say, in Zechariah, he goes on to talk about and prophesy about Megiddo, Armageddon. How does this apply to the people that are claiming it applies to them today when they had the same Babylonian customs? They are just like Babylon. If you go to Tel Aviv today, it's going to look like you in Paris, France. It's going to look like you in Berlin, Germany. You in New York City. It is not some holy, righteous, upstanding place. You go to Jerusalem, it's the same thing. This is not a bastion of Judaism. It's actually the exact opposite. Flee from the land of the north, he says. Flee from Babylon, and yet they are engaging in Babylonian ways and Babylonian customs. Let's read on.
For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, said the Most High Abba Yahweh.
All right, for time's sake, let's drop that. Let's go to Zechariah 3. Let's continue on this book, AP Yeshaya. We're going to go to Zechariah 3, and we're going to pick up in the first verse. So Zechariah is prophesying to the children of Israel, leaving the captivity under the Persians, that they are going to be pushed, be strong to build the temple of Abba Yahweh. And not just the temple. If you have a temple, you must have a need of somebody to work in that temple. What's the point of building a house if nobody's in it? Do people build houses just for them to be vacant? Or do you build a house for somebody to dwell in there and do something? Zechariah 3:1.
And he showed me Joshua the high priest stand before the angel of Abba Yahweh, and Satan was standing at his right hand to resist him.
Now, this is what's happening. And this is always what's going on, that Hasatan is standing on the right hand to resist the will of Abba Yahweh. Now, if he was resisting Joshua the high priest, if he was resisting the building of the temple back then, is he not doing the same thing now? Who are those that tell you sacrifice is done away with? That's Hasatan at your right hand trying to resist the will of Abba Yahweh. When it's going to tell you this is a house being built so Abba Yahweh can receive sacrifice. And yet we have Hasatan once again resisting the high priest, resisting the priesthood, resisting them, trying to defile them so the sacrifices can come to naught. Let's read on.
Verse 2. And the Most High host said unto Satan, Abba Yahweh rebuke thee, O Satan. Even Abba Yahweh that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is it not the branch plucked out the fire?
So Abba Yahweh reproved, checked Hasatan. Now don't go around and start saying, I rebuke thee, Satan. Learn the proper order and the proper course of the priesthood. This is what happened first when Israel came back. We're going to look at the full story, Abba willing, but these are some of the first things. First, they came forth to proclaim the building of the temple. Secondly, the priests were prophesied to be purified, to work in the temple. Then all the people will be coming to the temple. Let's read on.
Verse 3. Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And he answered, and spoke unto those who stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thy iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee a change of raiment.
All right, so now the Most High proclaimed, Joshua had these filthy garments on. And Zechariah prophesied and said, remove those filthy garments from him. And it was prophesied his iniquity. That filthy garments represented iniquity and sin, even amongst the priesthood. Remember, their temple was destroyed. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Their temple was destroyed. They had no sacrifice, no oblations, no way of cleansing themselves of iniquity. And so it was proclaimed to them to have this change of raiment, or have his iniquity purged from it. And what was the change of raiment that was given to Joshua? Read on, AP.
Verse 5. And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head.
Now here is the garments that were changed and put on Joshua, a fair or a beautiful Peachtree, which is a head covering, a scarf, not a scarf, but like I don't want to call it a turban. I don't want them to any ideas of like an Arab turban or a Sikh turban on Joshua. However, it was a head garment for a priest. Read on.
So they set a fat Peachtree upon his head, and clothed him with garments. An angel of Yahweh stood by.
Clothe him with priestly garments, with an angel by him, guiding him, instructing him in all the ways of the priesthood. These are the prophecies that were given. Now, once again, where is the priesthood of the Israelis? Where's the priest? I've heard of moyals and rabbis. Where's your priest? You want to talk about Armageddon? Where's all this stuff that Zechariah was prophesying about before Armageddon? Where's your fair Peachtree? Where's your priest garments? And once again, it's crazy that you have these evangelical Christians that love them and support them and donate millions, if not billions of dollars to them, when they don't believe in the Christ that you call God. They don't believe in him whatsoever. They think they have it written in their Talmud that Jesus Christ is in hell, boiling in feces. That's literally written in the Talmud. That's what they write about. And they say Mary was a prostitute. She wasn't no virtuous virgin. That's what they say. That's what they have written. And yet, you send millions and billions of dollars to go and support these people. And now, with that being the case, you don't believe in the Messiah. Where's your Levites? If you believe in the priesthood, the priest needs to come back. Where are your Levites? You say you're Jews. Jew is a shortened term for those of Judah, of the tribe of Judah. If you don't believe in the Messiah, you believe in the Old Testament only, essentially. Where's your Levites? If Joshua was the son of Josedek, who traced his lineage back to Aaron and the priesthood, where are your Levites? To fulfill the prophecy of Armageddon, you're going to need some priests. But yet, they don't have that. Once again, showing you that these people talk about Trump has been anointed by Jesus to bring about Armageddon, don't know anything about what don't know the first thing about what they're talking about. Nor the second, the third, the fourth, don't know anything about what they're talking about. Read all the Zechariah, which we don't have time to do today. Read that before you get to the last chapter talking about Armageddon. Read the whole thing. You need the priesthood. You need the temple. You need all these things. It's not just going to happen because somebody bombed Iran. Let's jump down now to the 8th verse, and then we're going to go to AP Candidate Ibron. We're going to Zechariah 4.
Hear now, O Joshua, the high priest, thus and thy followers that sit before thee, for they are men wonder at. For, behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch.
So they purified this priest. Now I say, oh, Joshua, the high priest, look, I'm going to bring forth the branch. Who is this branch that he's talking about? We covered this in a previous series. Probably what, it was like a year ago? About the branch. You got to go watch that. Zechariah 4:1.
And the angel that talked with me came again and waked me as a man that is wakened out of his sleep, and said unto me, What seest thou? And said, I have looked, and behold a candlestick of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps. which are upon the top thereof.
All right. So for time's sake, we can't go through this whole thing. Let's jump down to the 6th verse. So we covered this in the previous series. We talked about the duality of heaven and earth. These are the two witnesses. This is heaven and earth working together. We already showed for the Israelites who were in a weakened state. So the church in heaven was coming to help them and establish them. And they consecrated that priest, Joshua, and then they came back to this. Who is this talking about? Read on.
Verse 6. Then he answered and spoke unto me, saying, This is the word of the Most High Yahweh unto Zerubbabel.
Unto Zerubbabel. Once again, we've covered this already in the series about the branch of David. Out of the branch of David came, firstly, Zerubbabel. And Zerubbabel, what is he to do?
Saying, Not by might, nor by power, nor by my spirit, said the Most High of
But
hosts.
by my spirit. Not by your strength, Zerubbabel. Not because you can bench 225. Not because you can run a mile in 5 minutes. But by the spirit of Abba Yahweh, what shall be done?
Who art thou, O great mountain?
Who are these great oppositions against you? Who are these countries that are great and oppose you, Zerubbabel? Read on.
Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof, with shoutings, crying, grace, grace unto it.
He shall bring the headstone or the cornerstone of the temple. Zerubbabel and the host of the Israelites with him shall lay that temple. He is the branch of David, out of which would come the Messiah, to establish the temple. Let's read on.
Moreover, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it.
Zerubbabel, when all the Israelites with him have laid the foundation of the house of Abba Yahweh, and his hand shall go and finish it. They shall go and complete the building of the temple. Let's finish that up, and then AP shot. We're going to go to Haggai. Ezra started off talking about these prophets that helped Zerubbabel. It was Zechariah and Haggai. So we're going to read some of Haggai before we get back into the events that will lead up to this day of memorial, 12th month, 23rd day. Finish that verse up.
Continuing in verse 9. And thou shalt know that the Most High of hosts has sent me unto you.
All right, Zerubbabel was proclaimed, You shall be the branch to go and lay the foundation of the temple, and you shall also see to it that it is finished, like Solomon did in his day. Let's read on. Let's jump now. Drop that. Let's go to Haggai 1. Haggai also was with Zechariah, was with Zerubbabel and Yeshua of Josedek, helping them in building the temple and proclaiming what was going on in heaven, merging that with what was to come on earth. Let's read that.
In the 2nd year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the 1st day of the month, came the word of Abba Yahweh by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, the governor of Judah, and Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, Thus said the Most High of hosts, saying, This people said, The time is not come. The time of Abba Yahweh house shall be built.
So even back then, we're going to jump down to verse 7. Even back then, there were people saying, I know the Persians gave us leave and we're back in Jerusalem, but it's not the time yet to build the temple. It's not the time yet. And you actually had them submit to it a little bit. This is some of the help that Zerubbabel and Joshua needed. They were like, is it? I don't know. I'm confused. Maybe it's not the time. Maybe, I don't know. You need the prophets to come and say, let me go up to the heavens and see what Abba Yahweh has proclaimed so we can do it. And you have people doing the same thing today. We're going to show how this temple is and was built even today. We have access to this same temple. Matter of fact, a better temple. But there's people who say, no, it's not the time yet, brother. It's not the time. Just like they did back in the days of Zerubbabel. You had them saying, it's not the time to build the temple. Now imagine they didn't build the temple. Imagine they didn't do that. That's half of our history gone. That's all of our most recent Israelite history gone. They just stopped. The Most High would have wiped them off the map and start fresh. Let's read down in verse 7.
Thus said Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, said Yahweh.
He said, consider your ways, Israel. What are you doing? Talking about it's not the time to build the house. If we had time to read through the whole thing, we would see that they already built their own houses. They have their own houses. Like, you think it's cool for you to live in a nice house of cedar and you got all these nice decorations? My house lays in ruins? Absolutely not. Let's jump down to verse 12.
Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Joshua the son of Jodak, the high priest, with all the raiment of the people, obeyed the voice of Yahweh their Abba, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as Yahweh their Abba has sent him. And the people did fear before them. Then spake Haggai, Yahweh messengers, and Yahweh messengers unto the people, saying, I am with you, said Yahweh. And Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, the son of Jodak, and the high priest, and the spirit of all remnant of the people that came and did work in the house of Yahweh of hosts.
All right, so now we see it was prophesied and promised to them to go and do it. Haggai and Zechariah prophesied to them, go, be strong, and build this house, build this temple unto Abba Yahweh. And they went and would fulfill it. As it said in Zechariah, he laid the foundation, and he went forward and completed it. Let's read on, AP. Let's finish that up. And then we're going to go to AP Canada Iber. We're going to 1 Ezra 6 and first verse.
A lot of verse of 14. Their Abba. In the 4th and 20th day of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king.
All right, so this is not a class on 9th month, 24th day. But the word was given to them in the 6th month, and then the promise of their redemption was given in the 9th month, that the heathen that come up against them will be destroyed. Now's not the time to go through it. You can go back and look at that Memorial Day, 9th month, 25th day, the day of vengeance. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through it today. We're looking at this other Memorial Day, 12th month, 23rd day. Now let's drop that. Let's get back to where we started off with in 1 Ezra, in the Apocrypha, chapter 6, and we're going to pick up in the first verse.
Now in the 2nd year of the reign of Darius Agius and Zechariah the son of Adu, the prophets prophesied unto the Jews in Jewry and Jerusalem in the name of the Most High, God of Israel, which was upon them. Then stood up Zerubbabel the son of Salatiel and Jesus the son of Josedek, and began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, the prophets of the Most High being with them and helping them.
All right, so now we see that, once again, where we start. These prophets, Haggai and Zechariah, prophesying. The temple will be built. The temple shall be rebuilt. That the foundation shall be laid by Zerubbabel, and he shall continue to lay them, along with the whole host of Israel. And they would do it, and they would complete it. Not without challenges, of course, but Abba Yahweh, as he said, was there to protect them and to defend them. Let's read on.
At the same time came unto the Siseners the governor of Syria and Phoenice, with Sathapbusaris and his companions, said unto them.
All right, so now you have governors of the other nations coming, and they're going to question them and say, what's going on? What you doing? Let's read on.
By whose appointment do ye build this house and this roof, and perform all the other things? And who are the workmen that perform these things? Nevertheless, the elders of the Jews obtained favor, because the Most High had visited the captivity. And they were not hindered from building, until such time a signification was given unto Darius concerning them, and answer received.
All right, so the Most High was favorable unto the Israelites. You had these other people of the nations coming and questioning them. But the Most High quelled their spirits, calmed them down, and said, hey, look, write a letter to the emperor, essentially, which was Darius at the time, and go and inquire of him. And he would write back, letting them know that this was indeed his will and something that he gave leave for the Israelites to do. Once again, we see the Persians working with the Israelites. They were not enemies like that. They had a companionship. They had an agreement. But yet you have false prophets telling you, this blood moon, it's no wonder that coincides with Israel bombing Iran, just like they fought the Persians in Purim. That's not what happened in Purim. That is not what happened whatsoever. Anyway, let's read on. We're going to read through this so we can get the encapsulation of the history of what happened, culminating in the building of this temple. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 7. The copy of the letters which Siseners, governor of Syria and Phoenice, and Sathrabusanes, with their companions, rulers in Syria and Phoenice, wrote and sent unto Darius, to King Darius greeting. Let all things be known unto our Lord the King, that being come into the country of Judea and enter into the city of Jerusalem, we found in the city of Jerusalem the ancients of the Jews that were of the captivity, building a house unto the Most High, great and new, of hewn and costly stones, and timber already laid upon the walls. And those works are done with great speed, and the work goeth on prosperously in their hands, and with all glory and diligence is it made. Then as we these elders, saying, by whose commandment built ye this house, and laid the foundation of these works?
All right, so the governor of Syria and Phoenicia, they came and they were saying, what's going on? Why are you building? You already got timber. You already got everything laid out. Everything is on the wall. What's going on? What you doing? Did Darius give you commandment to go and do this? And so they wrote to him and they told him, what's going on? We found this. We found them doing this. Is this okay? Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 12. Therefore, to the intent that we might give knowledge unto thee by writing, we demanded of them who were the chief doers, and we required of them the names in writing of their principal men. So they gave us this answer. We are the servants of the Most High, which made heaven and earth.
Look at how they responded. First of all, look, governor of Syria, I don't know who you are, but know who I am. First of all, we servants of Abba Yahweh, above all. All right? Get that through your head first. Now, you can go ahead and write to Darius. He knows who we are. He knew Daniel. He knew our forefathers and knew what we were about. And he was with us when Babylon was toppled. That prophecy was given straight to him by Daniel. Go ahead and write to him. But we have a power even above Darius. But let's read on.
Continuing in verse 14. And as for this house, it was built many years ago by a king of Israel, great and strong, and was finished. But when our fathers provoked the Most High unto wrath, and sinned against the Most High of Israel, which is in heaven, he gave them over the power of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and of Chaldees.
All right, so many years ago, 70 plus years ago, actually about 570 years ago, this house was built by a king in Israel, Solomon, built a great and mighty house. But we sinned. We went astray. And we set up abomination in the house of Abba Yahweh, and he went and then chastised us. He went and then condemned us and brought Nebuchadnezzar up, king of Babylon, to go and destroy and level this house. Here's our history. Here's why we are at where we're at. Here's why we are getting to this point right here of the 12th month, 23rd day. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 16. Who pulled down the house and burned it and carried away the people captivities unto Babylon? But in the first year, that King Cyrus reigned over the country of Babylon. Cyrus the king wrote to build up this house.
All right, so before Darius even came, Cyrus the king, when he came and toppled Babylon, got that great victory, it was told to him beforehand. It was prophesied to him by Daniel. And so he rewarded Daniel and his people by making a declaration that when he conquers Babylon, I will give you leave to go and build your house. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 18. And the holy vessels of gold and of silver that Nebuchadnezzar had carried away out of the house of Jerusalem, and had set them in his own temple. Those Cyrus the king brought forth again out of the temple of Babylon, and they were delivered to Zerubbabel and to Sennacherib the ruler.
All right, so now we see it was delivered to Zerubbabel, and now we have another name dropped right here. Sennacherib, the ruler. We got two names, two people here. Let's finish that up.
With commandment that he should carry away the same vessels and put them in the temple at Jerusalem, and that the temple of the Most High should be built in his place. Then the same Sennacherib, being come hither, laid the foundation of the house of the Most High at Jerusalem. And from that time to this being still a building, it is not yet fully ended.
All right, so now you have this other name being brought out. Sennacherib. Sennacherib, who is this? He came, it says Zerubbabel and Sennacherib came and laid the foundation of the house of Abba at Jerusalem. Read on.
Now therefore, if it seem good unto the king, let search be made among the records of King Cyrus.
All right, so they wrote to Darius and said, make a search of the records of King Cyrus and make sure that this is actual credible what they're saying. Now anyway, who is this Sennacherib? What is this name? What does this even mean? Who is it talking about? Now it says Zerubbabel and Sennacherib. Let's go AP Yeshaya, Ezra. In the Bible, Ezra 1 and verse 7. Now we're going to see if we read Ezra, it's the same account in Esdras. But in Esdras, they use Greek names. In Ezra, it's translated from Hebrew. So you get slightly different translations. That's why you see Yehoshua, the son of Josedek, and then you see Jesus, son of Josedek, because one is Greek, or one's translated from Greek, one's translated from Hebrew. So let's get Ezra and see a little bit more about this Sennacherib.
Also, Cyrus, the king, brought forth the vessels of the house of Abba, which Nebuchadnezzar had brought forth out of Jerusalem. And he put them in the house of his deities.
All right, so now we see the same story. How Nebuchadnezzar took the goods and the vessels from the house of Abba, and it was proclaimed to give them back to Jerusalem. Let's read on.
Even though Cyrus, king of Persia, bring forth by the hands of Mephibosheth the treasuries, and the numerous things unto Zazubal, the priest of
Sheshbazzar,
the prince of Judah.
The prince of Judah. Now we have a prince. We have a governor, and now we have a prince. And if anybody knows the governing structure of Israel, you have, for example, in David's time, you had a king who was a governor over everything, and each tribe had their own governor. Each tribe had a prince who governed over those tribes. So now you see Zerubbabel, and with him you have Sheshbazzar, prince over Judah, over the tribe of Judah, helping them to build this house. Now what does this name Sheshbazzar mean? Let's get that. Let's go and read that, AP Yeshaya. They have the Strong's definition.
Strong's H8340. Zephyr, worship of fire.
Well, before you read that, read what's on the page right there. They have a actual they say where it's derived from, right? They call it Strong's definition. There's a lot of other lexicons, but Strong's is easily accessible for everybody to go and see. So we go to that a lot of times. Let's look at the Strong's right there. Strong's definition. What do they say about
the prince of
Sheshbazzar?
The prince of Judah at the first return from exile in Babylon, usually identified as.
Yeah, go ahead and read right there what's on the document, and you'll see that where it says Strong's definition.
Zephyr, a foreign derivative.
Yeah, it's derived from a foreign word. What's that? What is that word? Read on.
Zerubbabel, Persian name, Zephyr.
So they're trying to say this is Zerubbabel, but I would contend it may be somebody else because it's Prince of Judah versus the king, the governor. Nonetheless, it's a Persian name. It's a Persian term placed upon this person, Sheshbazzar. Now, let's look at the outline of biblical uses. What do they say this term means?
Zebediah, worship of fire.
Worshipper of fire. Worship by fire. This is the name placed upon the governors, the rulers of the children of Israel. To worship by fire. Those are the people that worship by fire. That's the title given. That's what the Persians called them. Not we fire missiles at you, but we worship Abba Yahweh with fire. We give sacrifice by fire. This is what the nations, the Persians, were calling the Israelites. Oh, those are the fire people. They do all that fire worship. That's them. If you take this away from us, are you still Israel? Are you still an Israelite? That's like you suck all the nutrients and all the vitamins and all the flavor out of an orange. Is it still an orange? Is it really still an orange? Even if it looks orange, would you really call that an orange? This is what the name was given to these people. Worship by fire. This is what the Persians themselves gave to them, because this is what they were to do. And so we're talking about, we're going to get into and show how the Messiah came and embodied the same purpose, to come and bring us a temple. Just like he did with Zerubbabel, just like he did with Joshua. And yet you think this part, the worship by fire, was taken away? You think Jesus came to do away with the worship by fire? That is the essence of being a Hebrew. To worship Abba Yahweh by fire. Let's now drop that. Let's continue on AP Yeshai. We're going to go to Enoch 71. And we're going to go back to Ezra in a minute. AP candidate Ibron. Enoch 71, and we're going to pick up in the first verse. This is an ancient custom. This is a divine heavenly custom. We talked about the name Hebrew. Hebrew, that term, when it says Abraham the Hebrew, it means those who had the customs from the other side. They brought a otherworldly culture and custom to the earth. That's what it meant to be a Hebrew. And the Persians went on to call him Sheshbazzar, to mean worshiper of fire. This is that otherworldly custom or culture that was brought onto the earth by the Israelites, or through the Israelites, I should say. And Enoch went up and saw what the Hebrews would see. Enoch 71 and verse 1.
And it came to pass, after this, my spirit was translated, and it ascended into heavens, and I saw the holy sons of Abba, and they were stepping on fire, flames of fire.
So now Enoch went up into the spirit, into the heavens, and he saw the holy angels stepping on fire, walking on fire. I think we need to make a song like that. Holy Saints, y'all listening? Make a song called Stepping on Fire. Stepping on flames of fire. This is what was going on in heaven. Read on.
Their garments was white as their raiment, and their faces shone like snow. And I saw two streams of fire, and light of fire shone like hepatha.
Everything he's seeing is fire. Fire, fire, fire. And these people are purified, purged, white like snow. Not Caucasian. There is no race up in heaven. You are an angel. There's no black, there's no white, there's no Asian. That's something for the flesh. That's something on earth. And so he saw these people who were purged, pure, no spots, like Joshua when the filthy garment was taken off them. They had garments white like snow, no filth, no dirt, no sin on them. Let's read on.
Verse 5. And he translated my spirit into the heavens of heavens, and I saw their structure built of crystal.
He saw a structure in the heavens built out of crystal, what seemed to him like glass. Something heavenly, something divine. It was made from light. Crystal is the best way a primal earthly person could describe what you're seeing in heaven. It's not crystal, it's not glass. But it's like transparent. It's like light. It's just like, it's there, it exists. But you can't touch it, you can't grasp it. Your spirit only can experience it. So he went and saw this house, this structure. What was in the structure?
And between those crystals, tongues of living fire.
He saw more fire. He saw more fire in this house. Read on.
Lost my place.
Verse 6.
And my spirit saw the girdle with girt the house of fire. And on
The
it,
house of fire. This is what he called it. This is what he called the holy temple that he's seeing in the heavens. That, remember, we saw the two olive branches. One producing oil and the other producing oil. This is the church in heaven and the church in earth. This is what's going on in heaven. There are these angels, the sons of Abba Yahweh, walking on fire in the house of Abba Yahweh that he called the house of fire. Read on.
and on it 4 sides were streams of fire of living fire, full of living fire.
Streams of fire just rolling down from that house. What's the point of this fire? Anybody know? Anybody in the audience? Maybe we should get a mic, pass that around to some of the brothers and sisters out here. What's the point? Why is there so much fire? What's going on? Is the house just burning? Is it lava? Let's get a mic around. Let's get a mic. Get down the live class. All right, we got a mic. All right, who got it? Why is there so much fire in this house? Why were these people called the worshipers of fire?
They was giving up oblations.
Absolutely. They were giving up burnt sacrifice oblations. They were consuming the sacrifices. This is going on in heaven from the days of Enoch. Now, if anybody knows about Enoch, he wasn't too far from Adam. This was from the very beginning. This isn't something that Moses invented. It was, as it says in Hebrews, a divine service. Only thing that Moses did was he brought it to a worldly sanctuary, physical. But Enoch, when he went into the heavens, he saw all abundance of fire. He called it the house of fire. He called Abba Yahweh's house the house of fire. And then the Persians, seeing this spirit on Daniel, on Zerubbabel, and all these people, called them the worshipers of fire in their own language. Put that name on them. These are the people that worship with fire. Let's read on, AP.
And they girt that house, verse 7. And that round about were seraphim, cherubims, and ophanim.
We covered this in another class about the divisions of the angels. In there you see the seraphim, the cherubim, and the ophanim. I asked this question before, but let's pass the mic around again. Anybody know who are these? Anybody know who these, why they have these seraphim, these cherubim, ophanim? What do they represent? We see the church in heaven and the church on earth working together. So there should be some representation of these seraphim, cherubim, and ophanim on earth. What is their earthly representation? Anybody? Any takers? Let's see who's been listening.
The
Pass the
priesthood
mic.
porters.
Okay, there we go. I'll pray. Absolutely. This is a representation of the priesthood, the porters, the seraphim, the cherubim, the ophanim. They are like the priests. They are going and serving at the altars that are in heaven. And the ophanim are supporting them as they do it. It talks about in Ezekiel. That's a bad translation where it says a wheel. It's not a wheel. It's ophan is the root word, the Hebrew word. And it said they would go wherever these angels go. Wherever these cherubim would go, the ophanim were with them, aiding them, supporting them, just like these porters. Wherever the priests would go, the porters were there with them. Let's finish that up, and then we're going to go to AP Candid Ibron. We're going to go to 1 Ezra 6 and pick up in the 22nd verse.
Middle of verse 7. And they there are who slept not.
Unfortunately, on earth, the earthly representation of these cherubim had to sleep. Up in heaven, they are not sleeping. There is no sleep. There's rest in their work that they do in heaven. They're offering fiery sacrifices day and night without stopping. They don't stop. They don't sleep at all. Read on.
And guard the throne of his holy glory.
They are at the throne of Abba Yahweh. This is what is going on in heaven. When people talk about the kingdom of heaven, people always say the quote-unquote Lord's Prayer. I don't even remember by heart anymore. The people used to make you say every night before you go to bed. What is it? Thy Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Do you even know what you're saying when you say that? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is what's going on in heaven. Fiery worship of Abba Yahweh. Burnt sacrifices and burnt offerings are going up in the heavens. And yet, you talking about Christ is the last sacrifice? You are a walking contradiction. Let thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, but Christ did away with sacrifices. But there's sacrifice going on in heaven. But Christ did away with sacrifice. But we want your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven, but Christ did away with sacrifices. Doesn't make any sense. Now, as another side point before we get back to 2nd Ezra, these people, they do not go up into the heavens. Even these people who are trying to do their space program, they're not going up into the heavens. They're not going up to the realm of Abba Yahweh. However, you have these astronauts who go up, they go to the International Space Station, right? And then they, when you go into the space station, when you go out into outer space, according to them, I'm not taking anything they say as if it's true, but when they go out and they come in, you go into this one chamber, close the door, then you open up the other chamber that's filled with oxygen. You go in, take your helmet off and all that. And they say when they do that, they say, some of the vacuum of space kind of gets in there. And they say when they take the helmet off, they say it smells like burnt steak. Why are they saying up in space, outer space, it's smelling like burnt steak? Why? Because according to them, they're going up to the heavens, and there's burnt sacrifices going up. The Elohim, the angels, are offering up these burnt sacrifices made by fire all the time. That's on record. You got astronauts on record saying that. It smells like burnt steak up there. Because in the heavens, there's these burnt sacrifices going day and night. They do not rest. Now I don't believe everything they talk about, everything they say. However, that's one thing they say that lines up. Anyway, let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the building, the construction of this temple, and the celebration that the Israelites had back then that we should be representing and we should be replicating, even in our days. Let's go to 1 Ezra 6. Let's pick it back up in that story in 22. So they sent letters out to Darius and said, go about and if you could, go and search King Cyrus, your forefather, and see if there's a record of what these Israelites are doing. See if he actually proclaimed this to them. Let's read on.
And if it be found that the building of the house of the Most High Abba Yahweh at Jerusalem hath been done with the consent of King Cyrus, and if our Lord the King be so minded, let him signify unto us thereof. Then commanded King Darius to seek among the records at Babylon, and so at Ecbatane, the palace, which is the country of Media, there was found a roll wherein these things were recorded.
So indeed it was true. They found a written document saying it was true that Cyrus wrote this down and codified it and said, yes, indeed, it is proclaimed that the Israelites should go forth and rebuild the temple that the Babylonians destroyed. Let's read on.
In the first year of the reign of King Cyrus, commanded the house of the Lord at Jerusalem should be built again, where they do sacrifice with continual fire.
And remember, once again, we see it, where they sacrifice with continual fire. This is why the Persians called them Sheshbazzar, worshipers of fire. You are to worship Abba Yahweh with fire. And he said, build a house of continual fire, meaning that fire never goes out. They do not go and say, all right, we put the fire out for today. We're going to come back tomorrow and light another one. They would light that fire. They would go and get holy fire, and that fire must go and continue and not stop day or night. That fire must always be burning, just like it is in heaven, just like what Enoch saw in heaven. These seraphim, these cherubim, these ophanim not resting, but in the house of fire day and night. It must be the same on earth. This is what the children of Israel were commanded to build. And remember, Cyrus, Darius, these are Persians. They're in modern-day Iran. They went to Mecca, which is east of Iran, and went and found these documents. These are Persians proclaiming that Israel should build the temple. How is this Armageddon? What's going on today? How is this Armageddon? when in actuality, the Persians helping them. The Persians actually came from the branch of Shem, a branch of Shem, not the holy branch, not the chosen branch, but they were Shemites. That's crazy. These Iranians that y'all bombing are more Shemitic than the people calling you anti-Semitic. Anyway, let's read on.
Continuing in verse 25. Whose height shall be 60 cubits, and the breadth is 60 cubits, with 3 rows of hewn stones, and 1 row of new wood of that country, and the expenses thereof to be given out of the house of King Cyrus.
And that was another beautiful thing. That Cyrus, the Persians, weren't just allowing them to do it. They said, we're going to give you the resources to go and do it. Out of Cyrus's own house, out of his own pocket, would come the finances and all the goods to go and build that temple. And yet, they're acting like this is Purim all over again. We're fighting the Iranians. We're fighting the Persians. You don't know what Purim is. Or you know, and yet you're stretching the truth. You are straight up lying to the people. Let's read on, though. Let's get back to the point. Let's look at the events that led up to our celebratory day.
Continuing in verse 26. And that holy vessel of the house of the Most High, both of gold and silver, that Nebuchadnezzar took out of the house at Jerusalem and brought to Babylon, should be restored to the house at Jerusalem, and be set in the place where they were before. And also he commanded that Sassanias, the governor of Syria and Phoenice, and Sathracenes, and the companions, and those were appointed rulers in Syria and Phoenice, should be careful not to meddle with the place, but suffer Zerubbabel, the servant of the Most High and governor of Judea, and the elders of the Jews, to build the house of the Most High in that place.
All right, so they said to Sassanias, Sathrabuzanes, make sure you don't meddle. Don't get in the way of Zerubbabel. It was charged for them to build it, and I'm financing it. Make sure you don't get in the way. Step aside and let them build that house. Read on.
I have commanded also to have it built up whole again, and that they look diligently to help those that be of the captivity of the Jews, to the house of the Most High be finished.
So he should also help. They should help those of the captivity to build it until the work is done. Read on.
And out of the tribute of Seleucia and Phoenice, a portion carefully to be given those men for the sacrifices of the Most High, that is, to Zerubbabel the governor, for bullocks and rams and lambs, and also corn, salt, wine, and oil, and that continually every year without further question, according as the priests that be in Jerusalem shall signify, to be daily spent.
All right, so he said, not only that, I've gotten tribute out of your country. Sathrabuzanes, Sassanias, y'all asking, y'all inquiring. Matter of fact, you go and help them. Matter of fact, give me some lambs, give me some bullocks, give me some wine, some oil out of your country, and go and give it to these priests. Go and give it to Jerusalem for the tithes, for their offerings, to make sure that there is no lack when they built that temple. Whatever they need daily, make sure you give that to them. Because that house of fire needs to be blazing up something every single day. Read on.
Continuing in verse 31. The offerings may be made to the Most High for the king and for his children, and that they may pray for their lives.
This is what Israel is supposed to be doing for the Iranians. For the Persians, I should say. Not bombing them, giving up oblations, and praying for them. This is the whole point. This is why Cyrus gave the decree, not just for them to do it now, the goodness of his heart. He said, I want something in return. And what I want in return, I want those oblations. Oblate for me and my family is what Cyrus said, is what the Persians said. And so he gave Daniel and some of these other prophets at the time, like Ezra, he gave them leave to go and do this so that they would give oblations for the kings of Persia. Let's read on.
And he commanded that whosoever should transgress, or make light of anything afore spoken or written, out of his own house should be a tree taken.
So he said, here's the punishment if you want to infringe on what the king has written. I'm going to find a tree, and we're going to pick up in the 56th verse. First Ezra 5 and 56. And then we're going to go to First Ezra 7, AP candidate, 7 and 1.
In the second year, in the second month, after the coming to the temple of Yahweh, at Jerusalem began Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Jesus, the son of H.O.W, and their brethren, and the priests, and Levites, and all that come unto Jerusalem out of the captivity.
So we see the commandment given forth to go and build and construct and lay the foundation for this house. Let's read on.
Verse 57. And they laid the foundation of the house of Abba in the first day of the second month, in the second year, after they were come to Jerusalem, And they appointed the Levite from 20 years old over the works of the Most High.
All right, so you see them following suit with what David instituted. The Levites, the priests, had to be at least 20 years old. That's something for all the brothers and sisters out there. Anybody who's interested in the priesthood, first you got to get on the city of Adam. And then, Abba willing, you can, after showing yourself diligent, spending some time around the congregation, learning some things, you might be accepted into the AP class. Like you got young brothers like, brother AP candidate Ibram stepping up to the priesthood. But you got to be at least 20 years old. Absolutely. Hallelujah. All praise the Most High, building up the priesthood. It is much needed. You got brothers like Yeshai right here spending time, years, dedicating himself to learn the ways of the priesthood. Shout out to AP 5. Them brothers are being diligent, holding it down, fighting, continuing, giving the good fight to maintain and hold on to their priesthood. Spending 4 or 5 years in this to learn the ways of the priest. It's not a simple thing. But from the start, you got to be 20 years old at the minimum. At the minimum. Let's read on.
Then stood Jesus and his son brethren, and Carmel his brothers, and the sons of Midian, with the sons of H.O.W, the son of Etham, with the sons and the brethren, all the Levites with one accord set up for of the business, laboring to advance the work in the house of Abba. So the workmen built the temple of the Most High.
All right, so now we see that the priest got together, labored in building and setting forth the work of Abba Yahweh. Let's read on.
And the priests stood arranged in their vestment with musical instruments and trumpets. And the Levite son of Asaph has cymbals.
All right, so now you see Asaph's sons, the Levites, coming together with the musical instruments. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't know any group that's doing what we see here at the House of Wisdom. A lot of people play music. I'm not just talking about that, but I'm talking about everything working in unison. The musicians, the music, while the priests are giving up oblations and sacrifices, singing righteous songs, giving thanksgiving, praising the Most High according to the way that David did it. A lot of people sing and dance and do all kinds of stuff, but they neglect the real essence, which is the sacrifices. Remember, this is the house of fire. You're not burning your instruments. You're burning an oblation, a sacrifice. And the priest and the singers were singing and raising up their voices to Abba Yahweh, instruments, with musical instruments, with trumpets, as we see here at the House of Wisdom. The Spirit is upon us to go and do what our forefathers have done. When we look at Hezekiah, the king, when he did the makeup Passover, everything you see listed that he did, Abba Yahweh has given us the Spirit to do it here today. It talked about they offered oblations. We're doing that. They had the bread. They had the wine. We got that. They were confessing their sins, and they had the singers coming together, singing and playing on the instruments. That combination right there, I don't see that anywhere else, except here at the House of Wisdom, or should we call it the House of Fire, giving the Most High's oblation in due season according to how David set it up. Let's read on, AP.
Verse 60. Singing songs of thanksgiving, praising the Most High, according as David the king, Israel, has ordained.
That's a key point. According to how David ordained it. This is long after David had already passed away. Well over 500 years David has been gone. They're still doing the ways of David. And the Messiah came to institute the covenant of David. Should we not be following suit with this exact same thing? Let's read on.
And they sung with a loud voices. They sung with a loud voice songs to praise the Most High, because his mercy and glory is forever in all Israel. Trumpets, and shout with a loud voice, singing songs of thanksgiving unto the Most High, for rearing up the house of Yahweh.
So this is when they had first laid that cornerstone. They had first built that foundation. They got together and had a celebration, singing praise to Yahweh, shouting with the trumpets, giving oblations and burnt sacrifices up to Yahweh. Read on.
Also the priests and the Levites, and all the chief of families, the ancients had seen the former house, came to the house of this with weeping and great crying.
So it was so powerful of a moment that you actually had some ancients, some older Israelites, who had actually seen Solomon's house before it was destroyed, the temple that he built. So you got to think, they were in Babylon for 70 years. This person had to be at least 80 or 90 to be able to remember that. I assume they had to be at least 10 years old walking into the temple in Solomon's day, and it was utterly destroyed. Think of how sorrowful that was. You have this great, magnificent house. Just think on your own personal level. Imagine you had this great, beautiful house, a family house passed down to you from generations, and it catches on fire and burns up. That was your childhood home. You have great memories there, and now it's gone. You would be crying and weeping. And then imagine years later, now you 70, 80, 90 years old, and your grandchildren are building that house back up. You'd be like, I know that would hit you to the core. You would be weeping and crying, tears of joy, seeing your old family house being built again. Now imagine double that. This is not just a family house. This is a national house. This is the temple of Yahweh, and these people were building it again. And time wouldn't for us to read on, but you would see that they were crying, weeping so loud, all the nations around heard them. Like, what is that noise? Something is going on. Let's go investigate. Nonetheless, let's drop that. Let's go down to 1 Ezra 7 and pick up the first verse. We see how they celebrate just the laying of the foundation. Literally, they just laid the cornerstone, and they were celebrating with great intensity. Imagine how much they'd be celebrating when the house is finished. Let's read on. 1 Ezra 7, pick up in the first verse.
Then Sosthenes, the governor of Syria and Phoenice, and Satrabusanes, with their companions, following the commandments of King Darius, did very carefully oversee the holy works, assisting the ancients of the Jews and governors of the temple. And so the holy works prospered when Haggai and Zechariah the prophets prophesied.
So the holy works prospered, just like Haggai and Zechariah prophesied about earlier, as we mentioned, that Yahweh would be with them, be strong, and go and do the work. Read on.
And they finished these things by the commandment of the Most High, Abba of Israel, and with the consent of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, kings of Persia. And thus was the holy house finished in 3 and 20th day of the month, Adar.
All right. Anybody know what the month Adar is? Anybody know? Anybody know? There we go. 12th day, or 12th month. Now, that's not the actual name of the month. That is the Persian Babylonian name they put on it. But read that verse again.
And thus was the holy house finished in 3 and 20th day of the month, Adar.
So the holy house, the temple, was built and finished in the 3 and 20th day, or 23rd day of the biblical calendar of the 12th month, as you see right there. Now, remember how much they were celebrating just laying the cornerstone, let alone the completion of the temple. And so on the 23rd day of the 12th month, we should follow suit like our forefathers did and come together and remember the day on which the temple was completed. Now, the scriptures tell us when Solomon's temple was completed too. Second month, first day. That's a new month. We already celebrating. But we should come together and celebrate this day as well. The building of that temple again. Under Darius, king of Persia, under Zerubbabel and Joshua, the high priest, in the 23rd day of the 12th month, just like they celebrated laying the cornerstone. Let's celebrate the completion, the finale, the building of the house again, the house of fire unto Yahweh. Because when we have a temple, when we have a priesthood, we can achieve what the prophets have told to us, that Yahweh would be with us, would help us prosper, that he will receive the oblations, the sacrifices of his people. That is a cause to celebrate indeed. Once again, that day, 23rd day of the 12th month, this year is so-called March 13th. So-called March 12th really going into March 13th. Now, let's read on. Let's read on about that. Let's read that 5th verse again, actually.
And thus was the holy house finished in 23 day of the month Adar, in the 6th year of Darius, king of Persians. And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites and others that were of the captivity that were added unto them, did according to the things written in the book of Moses.
Did according to the things of the book of Moses. What are some of the things you must do when you build a temple? Read on.
And to the dedication of the temple.
To the Hanukkah of the temple. They said they dedicated. Why are you not calling this Hanukkah? Why not? Because you have learned from those who usurp the culture. Why don't you go, instead of going to the culture vulture, why don't you go to the real, true, real deal? The real McCoy, as they call it. You got a Chinese knockoff and you call them Jordans. Go to get the real deal. Get the real thing. This is a Hanukkah. They dedicated that temple. And so you got so many brothers and sisters talk about, I did Hanukkah, I'm doing Purim. But yet you skip over this day. Why? Because the people that you're learning from don't do this day. They don't celebrate this day. Why not? They dedicated a temple here. Why are you not celebrating the dedication of a temple here? You love the menorah and the 6-pointed star more than you love the actual worship of Yahweh. This is the dedication of the temple. It was dedicated on that 23rd day of the 12th month. And we just skip over that. But I guarantee you, if the people who are calling themselves Israelites or Israel, if they were doing this, we would be doing this day. I guarantee you that. We want to claim that this heritage is ours, but we don't go and learn it for ourselves. We go through them to learn it. That is a utter mistake. Once again, you learning from them to do Hanukkah. How come you not getting some oils to circumcise your kid and doing some smooches on it? Thought you were learning from them, right? Why are you picking and choosing? Do they have the understanding or do they not? How about you go to New York and start building some tunnels and get a mattress on and spill some blood on that mattress? Huh? Aren't you learning from these people? Once again, you would not be having a 6-pointed star calling a shield of David if they weren't doing it. You would not be putting up menorahs and putting that on your tables, on your garments if they weren't doing it. You wouldn't be doing Hanukkah or Purim like you do if they weren't doing it. And you're not doing and celebrating the completion of this second temple, the dedication of this temple on the 23rd day of the 12th month, because they're not doing it. Let's learn our own culture, our own history. This is a day worthy of celebrating. Once again, they celebrate just laying the cornerstone. How much more the completion of the temple, the renewing of our culture that was destroyed for 70 years. That is worth celebrating and memorializing. Once again, we're not calling this a holy day. This is a memorial day, a high day, a day that we esteem highly. And we should get together and do what they did during this time back under Darius, the king of Persia. Let's read on. With the dedication of the temple, and what else did they do?
And to the dedication of the temple of the Most High Abiyahweh, they offered 100 bullocks, 200 rams, and 400 lambs.
This is what they did in the house of fire. Dedicated with 100 bullocks, 100 rams, 400 lambs, burnt sacrifices, going up, hundreds of them. Let's read on.
And 12 goats for the sin of all Israel, according to the number of the chief of the tribes of Israel.
Once again, you have the chiefs, the princes of the tribes of Israel, 12 goats for sin offerings given up at the dedication of the temple. Why are we not doing this? Why are we not celebrating this? Because we don't know our own culture. Read on.
The priests also and the Levites stood arrayed in their vestments according to their kindreds in the service of the Most High God of Israel, according to the book of Moses, and the porters at every gate.
So they had the priest, they had the singers, and they had the porters standing arrayed in their garments, according to Moses and according to David. Finish that up.
And the children of Israel that were of the captivity held the Passover the 14th day of the first month.
And now this was allowing them to be prepared for what's coming up. The Passover, the first month is around the corner. And so we posted those dates on the City of Adam. Make sure you go log in, see when those dates are. Make sure you get the next year's calendar when it's published and put out. And make sure when we publish the registration for the feast of the first month that you are some of the first to go and register. It's of the utmost importance. They had to dedicate the temple, so when first month, 14th day came around, the priests were ready to give the Most High his Passover sacrifice. Read that 10th verse again. Then we're going to go to Haggai 2. AP Yeshaya.
And the children of Israel that were of captivity held the Passover the 14th. After that, the priests and the Levites were sanctified.
This is an important part of the sanctification. Offering those sacrifices, not just eating some lamb, but sacrificing unto Abiyahweh. Now, we're going to cover this. We're not talking about bringing back physical sacrifice for anybody new watching. We're going to get into that. Let's go to Haggai 2 as we transition to the next section of this class. Haggai 2 and 1.
In the 7th month, in the 1st and 20th day of the month, came the word of Abiyahweh by the prophet Haggai, saying, Speak now to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Josedek, and the high priest, to residue of the people, saying, Who left amongst you that saw the house in her first glory? And how do you see it now? Is it not your eyes comparison of it as of nothing?
He said, Who amongst you, we are covered, these ancients, these older people, about 80, 90 years old. How many of you? There wasn't that many. Maybe a good handful of them. How many of you saw the house in its first glory under Solomon? Now look what you got. You got a little cornerstone. That's it. Is this nothing? Ain't this nothing in comparison? Read on.
Verse 4. Yet now be strong.
However, be strong, Zerubbabel. Don't look at it like this is nothing. You are instituting the will of Abiyahweh. And a greater temple is to come, just like how y'all built this temple. Read on.
O Zerubbabel, said Abiyahweh, be strong, O Joshua, son of Shealtiel, and the high priest, and be strong, all you people of the land, said Abiyahweh, and work, for I am with you, said Abiyahweh host. According to the words that I covenanted with you when you came out of Egypt, so my spirit remain amongst you. Fear ye not, for thus said Abiyahweh, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land.
All right. Let's get Matthew 27, verse 50. AP candidate, Ibron. And we see that Abiyahweh is proclaiming, my spirit is with you. And a little while, as you build this temple, as you construct and finish this temple, there shall be an earthquake. The earth and the heaven shall shake. The sea and all the dry land, everything shall shake and quiver at the will of Abiyahweh. And so, this is the proclamation of the building of this second temple. But that temple, both the second and the first, pale in comparison to the temple that has been given to us. The temple that is complete now, today, a temple that we can access. Time won't go through it, but hopefully everybody knows a little bit about the history of Israel, how the Greeks came, defiled this temple. The Maccabees had to come fight for it, rebuild it again, reconstruct it. But then the temple would be destroyed. There is no physical temple, but what temple is he talking about? Matthew 27, verse 50.
Yahweh, when he cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost.
So we see the crucifixion of the Messiah, the Prince. At the 9th hour, being crucified, yielded up the spirit, yielded up the ghost. His spirit left his body, and the covenant was consecrated. What happened immediately after?
And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom.
The veil of the temple that Zerubbabel built, that Joshua built, was rent, was cut, was torn. Read on.
And the earth did quake.
In a great earthquake, how cracked the foundations that Zerubbabel built, that Joshua built. Read on.
And the rocks rent.
And all the rocks, the stones that were used to build that temple were crumbling. At that moment, the veil was ripped in two. How say, I'm done with that temple. That temple ain't nothing to me. I'm going to give you a better temple, a greater temple. And just like in Zerubbabel's day, when the Most High caused the heavens and the earth to quake and to shake at the building of that temple, how much more this temple that the Messiah has given us. Let's go to Malachi 3. AP Yeshai, Malachi 3 and 1. And we're going to look at this temple that we should be looking for. We should take the examples of Zerubbabel coming out, rising out of Babylon. That's actually what Zerubbabel means. Zerubbabel, to rise from Babylon, is what his name means. We need to take that same spirit of Shethbazzar, to worship with fire, and come into this new temple. What temple is he talking about? Malachi 3 and 1. Even the prophets of old, the contemporaries to Haggai and Zechariah, prophesied about this new temple, this greater temple. Abiyah destroyed that one that even Zerubbabel built. What's the temple he's talking about? Read on.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Most High whom you seek.
Or the Lord, the Master who you seek, because it's not the Most High. What shall he do?
Shall he suddenly come to this temple?
He shall suddenly come to the temple. We have the messenger. Let's get a mic around. Let's get a mic. Who is this first messenger? Read that again, AP Yeshaya.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me.
Who is this messenger? Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. Who is this?
And Most High whom
No. Who is this? Let me ask the audience. Who is this?
Is it John the Baptist?
Where is this young girl learning all this information from? Absolutely. That's John the Baptist. Preparing the way for the Lord or the Master, the Adawan, whom ye seek. Now, who is that Lord that he's talking about? Who is that one that he's talking about? Who is that? John shall prepare the way, shall be a messenger to prepare the way for this person. Any takers? Now, this should be easy. This should be a slam dunk. This should be an alley-oop. We got something back there?
The Messiah. The Messiah?
Absolutely. This the Messiah. He shall come. Read it from that point.
Whom you seek shall suddenly come to this temple.
He shall come to his temple. And he is what? Read on.
Even the messenger of the covenant.
He is the messenger of the covenant. Not the covenant bearer, but he brings the message of the covenant. We cover that. Gospel is the proclamation of the good news of this new covenant, to set up a new house of fire, which is the same old house of fire that Enoch saw. That same temple shall be prepared. The way was prepared by John. The Messiah came to establish that covenant so you can access that new temple. As soon as the Messiah was consecrated, the Most High was like, that temple is over with. I want nothing to do with that temple that Zerubbabel and Joshua built. As great as it was, as great as the celebration was regarding it, on this day coming up, 12th month, 23rd day, let's be mindful of the temple that is and remains with us. What is the messenger, the Messiah, the Prince, Yahushua, what is he doing? Read on.
Whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, said Yahweh hosts. Who may abide the day of his coming? Who shall stand when he appear? For he is like a refined fire, like full of soap.
He is not coming with daffodils and tulips to give you just love and hugs. He says, who shall stand? He's coming to refine you, to purify you. We are like Joshua with these filthy, dirty garments on. The Messiah is coming saying, here, wash your garment. Here's some soap. Put that thing in the washing machine and get on a new garment. He is coming to refine you. He's coming to check and chastise you. Not to destroy you, but to refine you. And what happens after you are refined? Read on.
Verse 3. And ye shall sit as a refiner and purify of silver. He shall purify the sons of Levi.
Just like Zechariah did with Joshua. He purified the Levite, Joshua. Jesus gave him priestly garments. The Messiah shall come and do the same thing, purify the sons of Levi, but not Levi, because he came and gave us new covenant. He shall purify the priest. He shall purify those who shall execute the priest office. Why? Why are you purifying them? Read on.
And purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Yahweh in the righteousness.
They shall offer an offering to Yahweh. This is the purpose of the Messiah coming. And we hear so many other things. Yes, he came to remove the sins from the world, but he did that by a sin offering, by the new covenant, so that these priests can be purified, so they can offer sacrifices. He was the chieftain of the house of fire that Enoch saw. And he came down to institute a new house of fire here on earth. Anybody's talking about the Lord's Prayer and you reading that and saying that every night, if you are not talking about bringing sacrifices on the earth, then what you're saying is null and void. You are a walking, talking, sleeping contradiction with no real purpose behind what you're saying. You don't understand anything about the Messiah, the Prince. He came to purify the priests so they can offer an offering in righteousness, just like Zechariah, just like Haggai, just like Zerubbabel, just like Joshua, the son of Josedek, to offer an offering to Abiyah in righteousness. Offerings are not done away with. And on that day, when we remember our forefathers constructing, completing, and dedicating the temple, we should be giving Abiyah his offerings, just like our forefathers were in that time. Let's read on.
Verse 4. Then shall the offering of Judah in Jerusalem be pleased as in the days of old and as the former years.
Then, and only then, after the Messiah comes and purifies the sons of Levi, or purifies the priest, then shall the offerings of Jerusalem be pleasant again, just like it was during the days of Solomon, just like it was during the days of Zerubbabel. Then these offerings shall be pleasant, but by a new covenant. What temple is this? Is he talking about giving us a physical temple? Is he talking about going to the Dome of the Rock in Israel or the Temple Mount and building a temple? Let's get that John, A.P. Candid, John 2, and we're going to pick up in the 13th verse to see what temple is the Messiah, Yahushua, talking about. What temple is he building?
And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and the changes of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changes, money, and overthrew the tables.
All right, so we see that not that loving, kind Messiah. He made a scourge out of, a scourge is a whip with like 9 tails on it, and was whipping them and getting them out of the temple. Where is this Messiah? When you hear the Passion of Christ, where's this? He went and beat them down, not because it's in the law, it's in the statutes, in the commandments to bring your tithes and bring your offerings. That's not the problem. The problem is these people were doing an auction house in the temple. I got an auction go for 550. I got 600. I got 750, 750. Who got auction? 750. Red heifer, 750. 750s. Sold, 750. What's the poor man doing? What's the poor man doing with nothing? He can't get no offerings because you were selling them to the highest bidder? You had money changers, people extorting money, saying, I'll loan you 50 pence at 10% interest. And that's compounding interest. Now, the priest, actually, they had in the law, you could actually, if somebody wanted to borrow their tithes, they could do that and they could give a fifth part back. That's 20%. That might sound high, but that's 20% one time. That's just 20%. So if you borrow 10 bushels of corn, you had to give back essentially 12. You had to give back 12 bushels of corn. And that might be over the term of a year, whatever it may be. That might be next year you're going to give back 12. Imagine that. If anybody looks at these, if anybody's looking in the market to buy a house or anybody has bought a house, you look at that amortized mortgage stuff. That's that compound Khazarian interest. That's that satanic borrowing. Because they do studies on it. If you buy a house for $400,000, now if you do it the priestly way, if you borrow $400,000, right, you take 20% of that. That's what you're paying back over the term loan. Let's just say over 30 years. That's the typical mortgage. So 10% of 400,000 would be 40,000. Multiply that by 2, you got 20%. You paying back $480,000, hypothetically. All right. If you buy a house for $400,000, your whole loan is going to cost you $80,000. Now look at the amortized mortgage that these people have. If you take out a loan for a $400,000 house, you're going to be paying interest on that house. Every month that interest is accumulating. It's not a one-time additional payment. It is accumulating. And so when they do that math, that amortized mortgage, they say by the time you finish paying, if you only pay the monthly payments for 30 years, you spent about, I think it's something like $1.2 million. On a $400,000 home, you would have spent over 30 years $1.2 million. Over double. But a priestly way, $480,000, that sounds pretty good to me. That is that priestly way of lending. But these Pharisees, those who were Jews not in deed, but only by their skin, were like, hey, I'm going to charge you that compound interest. I'm going to charge you that amortized interest. Every day you don't pay me back this bushel, that's 10%. Every month, matter of fact. So you better pay me back next month. You only owe me, you borrowed 10 bushels. Well, you're going to come back next month, give me 11. Oh, you don't have it? That 11 went up to 12. That 12 went up to 14. That 14 went up to 20. That 20 went up. And before you know it, you owe this man 30 bushels when you only borrowed 10. This is what the Messiah was purging out of the temple. So, question, who's doing this today? Who's running the banking system today? Who's got you taking out mortgages and loans with that compound amortized interest? Who got you? Yeah. Exactly. We ain't even going to say that in the class. We're already probably at 5 strikes already. Just ask yourself, who is coming out charging you exorbitant interest on everything? Yeah. Who's the head of Chase Bank? What's his ethnicity? What's his background?
You got BlackRock.
Yeah, exactly. You got BlackRock. Who are these people? Who owns these businesses? Yeah, are they all a specific type? Are they Negroes? Are they Persians? Are they Iranians? Are they Ethiopians? Nah, I don't think so. All these people charge you all this interest. And then if you think about it, right, whenever you take out, most of the time when you take out a loan, all those payments you're paying in the first few years, they ain't going to the principal. If you buy a car for $10,000, you take out a loan for that $10,000, you're paying interest payments for like the first, if you take out a 5-year loan, probably the first 3 years, you're paying interest payments. Then you paying the $10,000 off on the car. Yeah, exactly, Robert. You ain't not even paying down your principal, the actual amount that you borrowed. That is an abomination. These are the money changers. You look at modern day banking. I know we're getting off topic, but it's important for us to know. When you think of these money changers, right? You got these people. You have banks. Look at who owns the majority of these banks. Look who's on the board. They got this thing called the reserve rate. The reserve rate is how much of somebody's money do I have to have on reserve. So banks get money from lending that money out. So if I deposit $1,000 in the bank, a lot of them have to keep 10%, but they're even trying to lower that down. So if I put in $1,000, they only have to keep $100. And they can loan Yeshaya $900. Mm-hmm. Now Yeshaya goes and pays Ibron for whatever. What you got for sale, Ibron? Your MacBook? You selling your MacBook for $900? All right. He buys Ibron's MacBook for $900. And now Ibron goes to that same bank and puts in his $900 that he just made. The bank on their ledger says they have $1,900 on the books. But the only real money in the system is $1,000. And now they got $1,900, so now they get to loan out more money. They only have to keep 10% of that $1,900. Mm-hmm. Are you following me? If not, don't worry. This is Khazarian math. You don't need to know it. We need to get our priestly math in order. We need to get our priestly monetary system in order. This right here is an abomination. This is what the Messiah was casting out of the temple. This is what he made a scourge for, and whipping the backs of these people engaging in this sort of monetary system. Anyway, let's get back to the point. We need to say that for the podcast. Once again, subscribe to the 9th Hour channel. This might be something we talk about on the podcast. Time won't afford us to go deep into this wicked monetary policy. But go to the 9th Hour YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share. These are some of the things we want to talk about at that channel, the 9th Hour. Let's get back to it. State the verse you were in. Chapter and verse, AP candidate.
John chapter 2, verse 16. And he said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence. Make not my father's house an house of merchandise.
I'll be your house is supposed to be a house of fire and a house of oblations, a house of prayer for everybody to come and give oblation and sacrifice. But these people are loving to make it a house of merchandise rather than the oblations. Let's read on.
And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, what sign shewest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things?
Why are you doing these things? What are you trying to show us? You say you're the Messiah. You showing us a sign? What's the sign?
Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple.
He said, I will destroy this temple. That's the sign I'm showing you. This temple that y'all are in, that Zerubbabel and Joshua built, is going to be destroyed. And what shall happen?
And in 3 days, I will raise it up.
In 3 days, I will raise it up. They're like, what you talking about? Read on. What did he say?
Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building.
He said, man, it took them 46 years to build this temple. What you talking about? You going to raise up in 3 days? Read on.
And wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But he spake up to the temple of his body.
This is the temple that we still have access to, that we need to be accessing even these times, the body. He is not of this earth. He didn't come from the earth. When he was meeting Abraham, or Abram at the time, as Melchizedek, who was his father? Who was his mother? Nobody. He came down from that house of fire that's in heaven that Enoch saw. This is the temple that he's talking about. He said, I'm going to destroy this temple, and when I rise up, I'm going to give you that house of fire. I'm going to give you access to that house of fire that's in heaven. Let's read on.
Continuing in verse 22. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this unto them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Yahushua had said.
All right, so now they knew that he was talking about being risen from the dead. Let's go, AP Yeshaya, 1 Corinthians 3, and we'll pick up in the first verse. 1 Corinthians 3 and 1. So we see even disciples knew and perceived. He was zealous for his house. And he came to purify, to check, to set in order the priest who had defiled his house on earth. And he did just that. And they knew he was talking about his body, his resurrection from the dead. This shall be our access to that new temple. That there was a greater temple that everybody replicated when they built one on earth. Or all the righteous men anyway, that I should say. They replicated that heavenly temple on earth. So when we go to this earthly temple, when our forefathers were going, they were going to a figure. Not the real deal, just a figurine. Like an action figure. I say it all the time. If you got a action figure of Hulk Hogan, is that really Hulk Hogan? Absolutely not. Go and get the real deal. Let's get 1 Corinthians 3 and 1.
And I, brethren, cannot speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in the Messiah.
All right, jump down to verse 10. So he said, brethren, this spiritual thing is hard to understand. A house of fire in heaven? That's hard to comprehend. Let me give you a carnal, physical example to help you understand that. If you are a babe, this is for you. Let's read on.
Verse 10. According to the grace of Abba, which hath given unto me, as a wise master builder.
He said, count me as a master builder. Count me as a master carpenter to build something. What is he talking about being built? Read on.
I have laid the foundation, another bearer thereon. But let every man take heed how he builded thereupon.
As a master builder, he said, I have laid a foundation. Now I'm calling you to come and build on that foundation. But be mindful of how you build. Read on.
For other foundation can no man lay than that it is laid, which is Yahushua the Prince.
Scriptures say that he has become the chief cornerstone. Just like Zerubbabel, when he was building the temple, laid down the chief cornerstone. The Messiah is also that chief cornerstone. He is that foundation of the temple. Now, he laid the foundation. Peter, Paul, John, James, and so all these forefathers, even down to us, you now go and build. He laid the foundation. When you lay a foundation, you have essentially the outline of the house. If it is, the foundation is, 1,000 square feet wide, you're not going to go and add 1,500 square feet. You got to lay a whole new foundation. You're going to build on that foundation. Now, you can go up high and increase the square footage of the house. But that foundation is the foundation. That's it. You're not going outside those bounds. You can't put wood straight on the dirt. You got to have that concrete layer for it to rest on. This is what the Messiah did, or that stone layer. Let's read on, AP.
Now, if any man build upon the foundation gold, silver, precious stone, wool, hay, and stubble, every man shall be manifested.
Every man's work shall be made manifest. If you go on this foundation and start laying gold or silver, precious stones, wood, all these things, your work shall be declared. Read on.
For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire.
It shall be revealed or tried by fire. What's he saying? What's he talking about? If you are to replicate that house of fire, fire is going to come down and see if this is tried and true. If you have a real foundation. If you go up there and lay a bunch of wood and just throw some fire, and what happens? It burns up. You got to build a house ready to withstand that heavenly divine fire. Let's read on.
And the fire shall try every man's work of which sort it is.
The fire shall try every man's work. Many people have come and tried to build on this foundation. And the fire came down and consumed them up. Said that work wasn't fit. Know what the Messiah was coming to do, you're dismissed. You've been removed. Your foundation is rocked and cast astray. Because many people are trying to build on the Messiah's foundation, not fully understanding it. When you build a house, there's blueprints. And I'm sure you know when you send in contractors and you got different people some people are going to be plumbers, some people are going to be electricians, some people are going to be framers, carpenters, and all that. Now, if the plumber doesn't know where the pipes are, you're just going to have pipes over here not connected to anything, not connected to the main water line. Mm-hmm. You're an electrician. You don't know where the main breaker box is going to be. You're going to run a wire all over the place. You don't know where that's supposed to be. These are people trying to build on the Messiah's foundation, not understanding what he really came to do. And the fire, the house of fire, is going to come and try and see if you fit the bill or not. Let's read on.
If any man work abide which he had built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If
you build on it and the fire comes down and it abides, it withstands, you shall receive a reward. Read on.
Verse 15. If any man work shall be burnt, he shall suffer loss.
But if you build on it and your works are burnt up by this fire, the house of fire, you cannot withstand the sacrifice of Abba Yahweh, count as a loss. Read on.
But he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire.
Pray that fire will save you. Come and give this sin offering for the wrongs you've done. And that's your way to be saved. Read on.
Know you not that ye are the temple of
What am I talking about? Let's go now from the carnal to the spiritual. I'm talking about you. You are the temple of Abba Yahweh. Read on.
And the spirit of Abba dwell within you.
And the spirit of Abba Yahweh is to dwell in you. The Messiah laid the foundation. He gave you the blueprint. Just like Zerubbabel, he laid the foundation. Now, what are you going to do? How are you going to build and make this temple, this acceptable house of fire to Abba Yahweh? The spirit of fire is supposed to dwell in you. The Persians need to come and call you Shethbazzar, worshiper of fire. Where's your fire? What are you doing? Are you building righteously on the temple of Abba Yahweh, or on the foundation? Doing it according to what our forefathers did? Read on.
If any man defile the temple of Abba Yahweh, him shall Abba Yahweh destroy.
But if you defile it, if you have that foundation and you land on that foundation, unclean things, abominations, you took out a corner of this house and put in a Christmas tree, you defiled Abba's house. Where do you see a Christmas tree in the house of fire? If you have this foundation and you start laying on it pumpkin patches and start carving jack-o'-lanterns in it, where do you see that in the house of fire? What's that other day they just did? You know, Valentine's Day. You got Cupids shooting arrows through hearts. God. You're defiling the house of Abba Yahweh. Where do you see that in the temple? Or if you're talking about Purim, oh my goodness, the blood moon. This is Israel bombing Gaza and Israel bombing Iran. This is the prophecy come. You're defiling the house. That's not the foundation that the Messiah laid. Is that going to withstand the trial by fire? Absolutely not. You've just been duped once again by the Khazars, who every time they have an enemy, give you propaganda and make you go and fight against that enemy. Tell you that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. You go out and send your soldiers there. Tell you Afghanistan needs to be handled. You go out and get them. Tell you Gaddafi's a problem. Go out and destroy him. This is what they do. Will that withstand the fire? Absolutely not. Read that 17th verse again, and then we're going to go to Hebrews 9. AP candidate Ibram.
If any man defile the temple of Abba Yahweh, him shall Abba Yahweh destroy. For the temple of Abba Yahweh is holy, which temple ye are.
You have access to the temple of Abba Yahweh. The same one Zerubbabel built. Not the same one, but the one that he copied and put on earth. You have access to that temple, a better one than Zerubbabel. So on the 12th month, 23rd day, let's access this temple. And let's go and give the Most High sacrifices made by fire. Let's drop that. Let's go to Hebrews 9:1.
Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick and the table and the shewbread, which is called the sanctuary.
All right, jump down to verse 10. So verily the first covenant, Moses' covenant, had divine ordinances. Where'd they find these divine ordinances? In heaven. And copied it and brought it down to a worldly sanctuary. And this is what all our forefathers did. This is what Solomon and Zerubbabel did. Had the divine pattern and replicated it on earth. And they built a tabernacle. They built the candlesticks. They built the tables, the showbread. Once again, everybody talks about the candlestick. They got a menorah. Where's your table? Why don't you have an outline of a table? Why don't you have an image of a table? Why don't you have an image of showbread? Why not? Because you're following the people who are not really the people. Let's jump down to verse 10.
Which stood only in meats and drinks, and divers washings, and carnal ordinances, imposed on them until the time of reformation.
These things were imposed on them. Even Zerubbabel, it was imposed on them to build a temple, a physical temple, until the time of reformation. What was reformed? What was made new at that time? Read on.
But Yahushua being come, a high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building.
The Messiah became a high priest of a greater, a perfect tabernacle, that house of fire that Enoch saw, not made with hands, not of this earthly building. We are right now in a building of concrete, wood, drywall, and steel. That is the type of things you build a house in on earth. But that house in heaven, you got a house literally made of crystal and fire. Try to build that today. Try to build that on earth. How are you going to build a house made of crystal, glass, and fire? Never heard of anybody doing that. Even if you got a glass, we got glass all in this place. You need steel and framing to actually make that. That thing is just straight crystal and fire. You cannot build that on earth. This is the house that the Messiah consecrated, became a high priest over, that we should now go and access that holy divine fire. Read verse 12.
Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
With his own blood, he entered into that holy place. Now, many people stumble here, but you would be once again contradicting yourself if you say, this once, that's the one sacrifice. This sacrifice is done away with. Why would he consecrate the house of fire, the house of burnt offerings and sacrifices, and then tell you sacrifice is done away with? Makes no sense. He consecrated it once. When you consecrate something, you only consecrate it once. How many times does a male child get circumcised? Male child got to get circumcised every 20 years? No. Get circumcised once. You are in covenant once. This was the Messiah did. He consecrated this house one time. And through that one consecration, he gave us eternal redemption, a house that we can go to. Why is it eternal? Because no man can go and corrupt that. Like the Babylonians went and corrupted and defiled and destroyed our ancient temple that Solomon built. Like the Romans came later on the exact same day and destroyed the temple that Zerubbabel built. They corrupted that. They destroyed that. If your salvation was pegged to a physical place, it is not eternal. But your salvation is now pegged to this holy temple that is in heaven. And that cannot be corrupted by man. Let's drop that. Let's go, AP Yeshaya, Deuteronomy 30, 11. We're going to start winding this class down. If you get Exodus 25 and 8, AP Ibron, AP Candid.
Deuteronomy 30 and 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that shall say, who shall go up for us in heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it.
So now Moses also is prophesying of this holy place. He said, this commandment to give the Most High his sacrifices made by fire day and night. It's not hidden from you. It's not taken from you. If we read above, he would be talking about the curses that will come upon you. He said they're not gone away. These sacrifices are not ripped from you. But they're also not in heaven. You see, these are the places that all the nations are trying to go. Everybody has this, or all the rich nations have their space program. Y'all know India has a space program? India. Yeah, they got a space program. They living in mud huts, but they still sending rockets up to trying to go up to the moon. And so India has a space program. Why are all these nations trying to go up to the heavens, trying to go up to space? Moses said, it's not up there, brother. It's not up there, Gupta. It's not over there. Read on.
Neither is beyond the sea. Thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us?
What was the name of that that submarine that they tried to go and see the Titanic and it basically imploded? I forgot that. Some wherever voyage. It's not over there. These billionaires trying to go and do deep sea voyages. Moses said, it's not down there, brother. You don't have to go down to the ocean to go and grab this. Read on.
That we may hear it and do it. But the words is very nigh unto thee.
The word. The way to give these sacrifices of this new covenant are nigh to you. And Moses himself gave it to you. He left the breadcrumb. What was going to come? It is nigh unto thee. Where is it?
In thy mouth.
In thy mouth. What do you do with your mouth? In Hebrews, absolutely. In Hebrews, he told you, give the fruit of your lips, the calves of your mouth. Your mouth produces, the fruit of it is words. You can speak it and do what? And where else is it?
In thy heart.
And in thy heart. Your heart is your mind. Through speaking these oblations, through going in your mind, your chambers of imagery, you can access that house of fire. You don't need to build a rocket ship. You don't need to ask Jeff Bezos to put you on a rocket shaped like, I ain't going to say it on this show. If you know, you know. You don't have to go on that thing, shoot it up to the stars, to the moon, and say, let me get this oblation. Let me go up to that house of fire. It's in your mind. It's in your heart. And with it, you sing it in your heart. You shall speak these things. And then the Messiah, having consecrated this covenant, these oblations shall be acceptable and pleasant as in the former days. Read that 14th verse again. Then we're going to go to Exodus 20, 25 and 8.
Verse 14. But the words is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth, in thy heart, that might do it.
All right. This word, the ability to go and access the holy temple, that is eternal, is in your heart, in your mind, to go and do it. If you can see it in your mind, you can see the spiritual realm. And with your mouth, you can communicate that and bring it onto this earth. Let's go down to Exodus 25 and 8.
And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I shew thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it.
So Moses was charged and said, go and build me a sanctuary. Go build my tabernacle after the pattern that I showed you. Jump down to verse 40. So Moses was charged to build a physical temple. Remember, he had divine ordinances, but he had to institute them physically. And so the Most High said, the pattern that I've showed you this pattern. Where did he show it to him at?
And look that thou make them after their pattern, which was showed thee in the mount.
In the mount. When Moses went up to the mount and got the tables of stone, the first time, he went up to that house of fire. Can we corroborate that? Absolutely. Time won't afford us to go there. But if we went to Exodus 24 and we showed them going up the temple, remember what they saw. They said they saw the Most High's feet on the floor of crystal. Just like Enoch saw a house of crystal with fire coming down. They saw lightnings. What's lightning except but fire? Heavenly divine fire raining down. And so they saw the house of Abihau. They saw the crystal. They saw the fire. They saw the consuming sacrifices that are going on in heaven. And Moses was charged, build a temple, just like what you saw when I brought you up the mountain. Remember, the priests, the Levites, couldn't go up. They could only go so far up. They saw the footstool. But Moses went up in the house, speaking with the angels, getting tablets of stone with Abba Yahweh's engraved with Abba Yahweh's fingers, with all the 10 commandments and all the instructions on how to build a temple. He went up and saw the pattern of it and went and copied it on earth. He didn't just make this up on his own. He got it from heaven. Should we not go and seek the true rendition, the original copy that's in heaven? 1 Chronicles 28 and 11. Anybody who knows about something that gets copied, it starts to lose its luster. It starts to lose some of its essence. Every copy you make, it starts to lose its original quality. So when you get these physical copies of the temple, you don't have the true essence that's in heaven. Let's go down to 1 Chronicles 28 and 11, AP Yeshaya. And then we're going to cap it off, close this class off with Revelations 4. AP Candid, Iber.
1 Chronicles 28 and 11. Then David...
Actually, start at verse 10. We'll start at verse 10.
Verse 10. Take heed now, for Abba Yahweh have chosen thee to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it.
So David, like the prophets Zechariah and Haggai, as we read it in the beginning, gave this charge to Solomon. Be strong and build Abba Yahweh's house. Read on.
Then David gave to Solomon his son the patterns of the porch, and the house thereof, and the treasuries thereof, and of the upper chamber thereof, and the inner partly thereof, and the place of the mercy seat.
So David gave to Solomon the blueprint, the pattern of the porch, the houses, the chambers, the mercy seat, and all the things that would be in the temple. Where did he get this from? Did he make this up? Was David just a great architect and put this together? I know he made music. I didn't know he was an architect too. He was a warrior, but was he a great architect? This is beautiful design? Or where did he get this from?
God. Verse 12. And the patterns of all that he had by spirit.
By the Spirit. He went up just like Enoch, just like Moses, just like some of our great forefathers, went up to the heavens and saw the house of fire made of crystal and said, this is how it is in heaven. Make a rendition here on earth. Make a copy, a facsimile here on earth. Let's read on.
And of the courts of Abba Yahweh, and of the chambers round about, the treasuries of the house of Abba, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. Also, for the courses of the priests.
Also, from the heavens, he got the pattern of the course of the priest. David didn't just make this up. He got this from heaven. Said, I see 24 hours of worship. I see nonstop worship from cherubim, from seraphim, from Ophanim, up to Abba Yahweh. We need to go and copy this and put this on earth. Also, they're singing psalms. Let's go and make this on earth. I heard this beautiful psalm. I'm going to write this down, put it in a psalm. I'm going to give it to Asaph. What I saw in heaven in a dream, when I went up, I heard strings, and I heard the trumpet came in at this point and at this measure, and we sang it on Naganoth. What's Naganoth? That's the key. We put that in. You might hear this, the holy singers today talking about, oh, that's in B flat minor. That's what David had. David had that. He said, no, brother, that's what you doing, man? Why you playing that G? Ain't no G in B flat, brother. What you doing?
God.
Get it right. And so he got, because the angels are singing it just like this. You got to sing it just like the angel that I heard. I went to heaven, I heard him sing it like this. Brother, your cadence is off. You're doing triplets. Nah, I need, it's quarter notes, brother. Get it right. This is what the angels are doing in heaven. Let's read on.
And the Levites, and all the works of the service of the house of Abba Yahweh, and all the vessels of service in the house of the Most High.
All right, let's jump now to Revelations 4 and 1. And we're going to begin to close down this class. We see a long history of our forefathers going up to the heavens and receiving the pattern of the tabernacle. Time 104 is to go to everybody. But we see Ezekiel got that pattern even while he was still in Babylon. The Most High was preparing them for when they would come out and build the temple again. And so this pattern was given. They didn't just make this up. They didn't just build it how they thought they would build it. So what we should do, and what anybody should do, here's a litmus test for your organization, your spiritual group that you're with. Look at their church. Look at how it's outlined. Is it outlined like this? Is it outlined how the Messiah outlined it, the foundation he laid? Is it like David, like Solomon, like Zerubbabel, like Joshua, like Enoch, like Ezekiel? Do they have that? Do they copy that? Or do they copy something else? If it's not of Abba Yahweh, it is of none other than Hasatan, the old serpent, the dragon, the devil. Copy what Abba Yahweh has told us to copy. If you don't see priests, Levites in their courses, you don't see oblations, sacrifices, you don't hear music going with the oblation, you don't hear sin offerings, trespass offerings, you don't hear them talking about the house of fire, then you don't have a church built on the foundation of the Messiah, the Prince. Let's finish that up in Revelations 4:1.
After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will shew thee things which must be hereafter.
A voice from heaven, like a trumpet, saying, Come up hither, come up here, come up to me, so I can show you some things. Just like I showed your forefather David, just like I showed your forefather Zerubbabel and Joshua, just like I showed Enoch. Come up here, and I will show you some things. Read on.
And immediately I was in the spirit.
Just like David was in the spirit and got the pattern of the tabernacle. He said, immediately I was in the spirit. Read on.
And behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne.
A throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Just like Enoch saw, a throne, the fire coming out of it. There's fire rolling down from that throne. Angels walking on fire in the midst of the oblations. This is what John saw. And this is what so many of our forefathers saw. And so as we get ready on the 23rd day of the 12th month, so-called March 12th through March 13th, we need to be preparing ourselves to go and access that holy temple, that holy tabernacle in heaven, and worship Abba Yahweh and praise him for allowing us to have dedicated it. Because we see that the dedication of the temple during the times of Zerubbabel and Joshua is just like the dedication that came by the Messiah, the Prince. They had a consecration, a dedication, a sacrifice, a great earthquake, and the proclamation to all the nations that this temple is now here and built. So let us all come together in unison, in oneness, in the worship of Abba Yahweh on his great day, in the real temple, not the facsimile, the replica on earth, but the real deal, the real McCoy, the one in heaven, made of crystal, glass, and fire, an angelic temple that you cannot access with your own earthly hands, that cannot be corrupted by wicked actors. It is an eternal place where we will get this eternal redemption by giving up the sacrifices in due season. One thing I want to say before we open up for Q&A, if anybody in the audience has any questions, now's the time to get them ready. If you're online, I hope you go on Zoom, join us. We got a new feature coming. We got it here, so you can actually talk with us. You don't just have to pose your question in the chat. You can actually join the Zoom and talk to us live, and I'll be willing we can answer your questions. But one thing I want to mention, especially for the saints of the covenant, if you're watching this live, tonight, if you're in the United States, this kicks in daylight savings time. Now, we know what that means for us. That means our lots stay the same according to the position of the sun, the moon, and the stars. However, according to their time, it shifts. So if you're used to the first lot being at 2 a.m., tonight it's about to shift. The first lot is about to be at 3 a.m. Eastern time. And so on and so forth. When we get together for the 9th lot, for the Shabbat, we've been doing it at 10 p.m., or 10 a.m., I should say. It's now going to be at 11 a.m. because that's just how their time shifts. It's going to fall back. Or I guess it's going to spring forward, I should say. So get ready for that. Everybody, make sure you're ready for that. Make sure you're prepared. If you look for the oblation line at 2 a.m., it's not going to be there. make sure 3 a.m., set your alarm. Now, if you have an analog clock and you keep it set for 2 a.m., it's going to be the same time. You can just keep that rolling. But obviously, everything connected digitally is going to adjust automatically. But if you have a physical clock, it's not. It's going to be the same time as always. So just a reminder, I think everybody who's used to it is used to it. They know they're used to that switch. But for those maybe new and not used to it, the time is going to shift relative to the Gregorian time. The real time, the actual time, the position of the sun, moon, stars, that doesn't change. The time of our lots don't change. But if you're pegging it to the Gregorian time, then it's going to shift. But anyway, now's the time. If there's any questions in the audience, we're going to start here in the audience who came for the Shabbat class, then we're going to move to those online. So are there any questions out here in the audience? Any questions about what we covered today? Any questions in the audience? All right. Got a question over here.
Shalom, priesthood.
Shalom.
Awesome class.
All praise the Most High.
Kind. Was watching most of it here live, but I'm not sure if this was brought out or not. But how would you was talking about fire and about the temple and all of that, so it made me think about Jeremiah 20 and 9, and just want to know if that might be related to this class, and right. So how?
Jeremiah 20 and 9.
Con.
CAP Yeshai looks like you're getting it. You said 20?
20, chapter 20.
All right, con, chapter 20 and 9.
In verse 9.
All right. You can go and read it when you get it. AP Yeshaya.
Then I said, I wouldn't make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart, as a burning fire shut up in my bone. And I am weary with forbearing, that I could not stand.
And that is a sense related, because Ezra had a similar experience. He went up to the temple, and he got a cup. That cup was filled with fire, he said. He drank it. His fire filled his bosom. So, yes, Jeremiah was in the spirit. And in that fire, word was given to him. And it was in his heart, in his mind, he had that heart, or that burning fire. And in that fire was given him the words to go and speak and to preach to these priests that had bound him up and put him in captivity. So, this absolutely is related in that sense. And so we see that all the time. We see even Isaiah. Isaiah said he went up and saw the seraphim. And if you know the seraphim, they're like the priests that go and serve at the brazen altar. So they brought that coal of fire and touched his lips and burnt him. Not to burn him, but to burn the spirit of sin that was on him and purified him through the burning fire of that house of fire. Khan Yanabar. Any other questions in the audience? All right. Before we go on to the questions in the chat, we got anybody on Zoom? Anybody want to ask the questions live? I don't even think I have it up. No? Okay. All right. Guess y'all saving y'all Zoom questions for the podcast. Make sure you go subscribe to the 9th hour. I'll be willing, we do those podcasts live as well. And so we're going to be, we're actually going to have Zoom. We have Zoom tied in with the 9th hour podcast. So you can come and ask questions to speak to the priesthood live as well, and talk about some of the things that we plan on talking about. We covered it in the first class. We want to talk about a wide range of topics. We don't want to just talk about one thing. It's not just a political podcast station. We want to talk about, we were just talking about, we might bring up a video about global warming. We might do a discussion about finances, gold and silver, crypto, things like that. We plan on talking about some things that are prevalent and relevant to our community. And we know some of the things that every podcaster goes through, relationship stuff. But that's big for our community. We might even bring that out as well. So definitely want to subscribe, turn on notifications, because like I said, if this is breaking news, we might even just go live. If something happens tonight, we might go live on the 9th hour tonight. If something happens, something worth setting up and doing a podcast on. So definitely go and go to that podcast, go to our channel, the 9th hour podcast, and subscribe. Like the video that's there, share the video, and subscribe, turn on notifications. It's much needed. All right, you said there's a question online?
Con. We have a question coming from DL Taylora. He says, what now is the building of the temple? Is the body of believers not the temple, individually and collectively?
Yeah, that's something that is often said, especially amongst Christians. Like, we come together, that's the church. And that's not really the case. We are a body, but the temple itself is not just us getting together. A lot of people get together. People get together to do wickedness. Is that the temple of the Most High? No. It is a specific place. We see it, that the Messiah consecrated a building not made with hands. He said a specific building. So you can call the assembly of people the church, which is a gathering, a convocation, but it's not the temple. Church means a gathering, a coming together, an assembly. But the temple itself is a place in heaven, is the abode, the dwelling place of Abba Yahweh. Now, when two are gathered in the name of Abba Yahweh or in the Messiah the Prince, they are going to enter into that temple together. And Abba Yahweh's spirit, the Messiah the Prince, is there with them. But they must shed off this mortal and go into the immortal place, the heavenly temple, and enter therein. And that's what John did. A voice of a trumpet called him, and he went up hither to heaven. And if we were to go to Revelation 1, he would see the Son of Man amongst the golden candlesticks in heaven. And so he went up to a place, or his spirit went to a place. He went into the heavens. Or like Paul said, he was caught up into the third heaven. He was caught up into this other division, this other world outside of here. And so it's not just the gathering together. That is an assembly, or as some people like to call it, a church in a sense, but it is not the temple of Abba Yahweh. It is not the place of sacrifice. That place is in heaven, the house of fire, that Enoch saw, that all of our forefathers saw, who didn't meet each other. They didn't meet each other in the flesh, but they all saw that same holy place. Hopefully that answers the brother's question.
Con, that's all we have.
All right, that's all we got. All right. No other questions? Any questions in the audience? Any questions online before we close it down? All right.
I got another question.
All right, Kai.
All right.
As soon as we about to close it down.
Yeah. So we're talking about trying things by fire, I think.
Yeah.
Will this relate to how we try spirits?
Absolutely. 100%.
How so?
When you see things like for example, Tobit. If we went to Tobit, right? They were still under a physical covenant that offered physical sacrifice. But Tobit was told and instructed by the angel, take this fish, this guts, these organs, and offer the inwards. Some people think that's witchcraft. Tobit wasn't doing witchcraft. Tobit was doing the opposite of witchcraft, the thing that repels witchcraft. So anyway, Tobit was to give a sacrifice, and we actually plan on doing a class on that. We plan on bringing out how these things that are written out in Leviticus, that's not a dietary law. That's something else. We're going to get deep into it in the class, Abba willing. But anyway, the point being, he offered a sacrifice. He burnt it up with fire. He said, make a smoke out of it. And when that smoke came up, that devil fled. It couldn't stand the smell of an oblation. It couldn't stand the heat of the fire. And so it scrammed. It ran. It up. And so in heaven, we do the same thing. That is the litmus test, because there's going to be many spirits that are going to come and try to try you. Some people may say, I got a dream, and the spirit told me. Well, did you try that spirit? Did you see what spirit that was? Because there's a lot of spirits. Abiyahwa has a spirit. He sends forth the Holy Spirit, but Hasatan has his spirits too. And so the fire of the oblations tries that spirit. Can it withstand? Can that spirit withstand that flame? Does it enjoy? Does it like the flames? Then that might be of Abiyahwa. But if that thing is like, no, you don't need no fire. Or if you burn that up and then that sweet smelling spirit makes it scram, that was of Hasatan. That was not of Abiyahwa. So absolutely, that fire is indeed, and it's specifically about trying those spirits to see if that spirit is of Abiyahwa or is it of Hasatan.
Khan, the water.
Once again. All praises.
And I'll add to that previous question that was put out there. Not sure exactly what the brother was asking, but he had made a statement, or it was read, that the body, the congregation, is the temple. It is written when the Messiah in John 2 saw the actual temple that had Herod's temple, and he said he would destroy this temple in 3 days and raise it up again. And it spoke about, he spoke of his body. And so they're not talking about a congregation as the temple. Secondly, to add what Kahan Yeridun was saying, a temple is a specific place to do a specific thing. You don't eat herbs in there. It's not about jogging. It's not a gym. You know, it's not a place of exercise. It is a place of ecclesiastical worship, ecclesiastical sacrifice. So even if your church is coming together and you assume it's the temple, which is not, if you're not doing sacrifices, you're not part of the temple. The Messiah is saying that he gave you a body where you can enter in through the veil, which is your skin, that you can enter into the true temple in heaven. So everybody have a body who's blessed with it that have access to the temple in heaven. And so this is what he was saying. So every man got to work out his own soul salvation. It's not about getting together with your pastor, whoever, your mother, your sister, your brother. It's not about that. The Heavenly Father has equipped everybody with a body that has access to enter into the true temple that Yeridun was talking about. So your body, as it says in John 3:16, is the temple of the Most High, meaning you have access to it. And if you don't know anything about baptism, anointing, a heave, a wave, the lacham, the yayan, if you don't know anything about that, then you have no reason to enter into the temple, because you'll probably be popping and locking and breakdancing, singing some gospel song. You are unworthy to enter into that place. So what do you need to do in the meantime? Study to show yourself approved. Learn what to do in a temple. And if you're not rehearsing that right now, again, if you're at church and you're doing a bunch of singing, a bunch of man-made rituals, you will not be invited into that temple. This is why it's critically important that you take the bread that the Messiah spoke about, that Yeridun brought out earlier in Matthew, the so-called Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. Why? Why did the Messiah say that to Peter? Why did he say that to his disciples? Church used to say that he wants you to eat daily and be thankful for your daily meals so that you may take away our transgressions. So what does daily bread and removal of transgression got to do, or trespasses got to do with each other? He was telling you to take your, Hebrews know this, take your daily offering of bread so that your transgressions and trespasses may be removed. He was teaching you how to do a daily continual sacrifice. So you have access to the temple within your body. You got it, Khan?
Khan, absolutely. Any other questions? All right. Once again, as we come close to the end of the year, let's not forget when Zerubbabel and Joshua completed the building of the temple. 12th month, 23rd day, so-called March 12th, March 13th. And let us celebrate in the temple that the Messiah consecrated for us, that eternal temple that all of our forefathers saw and copied and made a rendition here on earth. This is our time to go and shine. The times are changing. Everything is changing now. And the only thing I'd say we agree with some of these evangelicals and these religious people that are speaking today is that we are living in a time of prophecy. That's the only thing we'll agree. The prophecy itself, no, they do not know what they're talking about. However, prophecy is indeed being fulfilled. Let's come together and serve Abba Yahweh in his temple on this day and into perpetuity as we get ready for the first month we're in is Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. May peace and thanksgiving always be multiplied amongst all the saints. Shalom.
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 Wickedness going on in the camp. Yeah. Most High willing we. Burn it up, burn it up, burn it up. Most High willing. We burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Now if you gon' troll, you'll get extinguished. These problems unfold to clear out the demons. Burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Which these problems unfold to clear out the demons. Yeah.
It's a calm, shalom. Know that I'm beating demons like a drum. From the slum, but a wise one. Walk with wisdom, giving those on Mount Zion. No one with Hakan at the break of dawn. Even Lakam and Weber Yayan. Find the sons of Hasatan. Third division, them straight to duty, Abaddon.
Pop that smoke, I'm rolling on gold. Blood my coat, but the saints don't fold. Prince in the booth, uncouth, regroup. My priest lying bold like a Gadite troop. No, we don't stoop, sin don't dupe. Faith on faith, and I need that proof, that's mine. Staying on side, lifting that rod as nations apply to the sun's facade.
The emotions when the priesthood obey. The weapons of warfare that's been given to the saints. The heaving wave of the Kahanas what it take. I'm a soldier of Malachi, and I do this every day.
We burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Now if you gon' troll, you'll get extinguished. These problems unfold to clear out the demons. Burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Now if you gon' troll, you'll get extinguished. These problems unfold to clear out the demons.
It's time to kill all these demons. When you read Jeremiah 10 and 2, then you know we can't be like the heathens. Abba said there's no pleasure in allegiance. Allah high come in like allegiance. Through the heaving way, rise at the thread. Yeshua night out, you know what's gon' say. Walk in the spirit, so we walk out the maze, yeah.
This track's on fire, Abba's my desire. I'm 10 toes deep, sin no longer makes me tweak. 7 covenant activated, sin introspect soul elated. Bread and wine in the priest's hand, what are you Yahweh for your plan?
I saw the reprobates and snakes, spots in our feast, violating the cakes, violating the grapes, violating the state, apostates. Thieves in the temple, thieves in my mental. They resemble the intercontinental governmental official, free radicals. Sit for Rome, home of the Vatican. Archbishop, pontiff, popes, anathema, maranatha. Look, Pope Leo, heathen vino. The trio accusing Negroes incognito of many crimes as we know. Unconverted, sons of the serpent, urban urchins, in their churches chirping like frogs perverted, completely unworthy.
We burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Now if you gon' troll, you'll get extinguished. These problems unfold to clear out the demons. Burning the scene, get rid of that. Cook 100 more blade and we feeling that. If you taking the body, we send it back. Cause we don't need a four rolling with the pack. Should we saving these souls? This is the reason we getting these souls in the due season. Now if you gon' troll, you'll get extinguished. These problems unfold to clear out the demons, yeah.